Welcome back to some Full Metal Demon Muramasa. Or should I call it FMDM? I don't know what it's acronymized as. But that's not important. We're diving in to what was an exciting intro. We got an alternate history. We got some power armored samurai. I'm leaning towards power armor right now, but they could be full on mecha. We'll find out. Hopefully soon. Right now, though, our protagonist is just a normal ass kid at school, going to lunch with a really preachy teacher who's very political. Lunchtime.
Yuhi, 今日のお昼ご飯は何だい? 僕は玄米パンとお芋だよ.
What's for lunch today? I've got brown rice and a potato. 2 starches. Interesting. I hope you're trading with I hope you're intending to trade with someone. Hooray for normalcy, yeah. You know, I think rice is good. I think potatoes are good. I'm very iffy on having that as your only lunch, but who knows?
俺は玄米パンと芋だ.
Brown rice and a potato. Well, okay.
私は玄米パンとお芋ね.
Let's see. Brown rice and a potato. Bread sandwiches are a thing. They are.
奇遇だね。みんな一緒だ.
What a coincidence.
給食だからな.
It is, I mean, it is school lunch. Oh, are they given lunch by the school?
違ってたらそっちの方が奇遇ね.
If anyone had something different, there'd be something to talk about. True. We chow down. The taste is the same as it always is. Bland, yet palatable. Just like your everyday life in the real world. Ever since Rokuhara started its campaign to increase food production, brown rice and potatoes have dominated our meals. Apparently, these were the foods deemed cheapest to produce in large quantities. Yeah, in terms of nutritional value and utility, for price, they're really cheap. Not even curry flavored. They were going through food shortages a short time ago, aka like what? 60 years ago, they had food shortages. Or something like that. I'm trying to remember the timeline. It's been a couple days. And they were just still shocked that the Empire still had so many troubles. Yeah, it's post-war. Oh, they're in 1940. Okay. They're in 1940 and had like a major war like 2 decades ago or something like that. Yeah, cheap but not nutritionally complete on a long-term basis. Yeah, but it's better than people starving. They've dominated the meals. Presumably they have like a meal where they have something else at some point. I also get the impression that nobody likes the government. So there's a decent chance they're doing really dumb shit. Because, you know, governments can secure food for their people. No doubt. But we've also seen governments many times really fuck up feeding their people. Whether intentionally or mistakenly. Some easy examples would be China, North Korea, and the Soviet Union. Those are some easy choices. I think Cambodia had a problem like that too. Lots of problems with food. Easy to screw that up. These guys seem to at least be getting something out to people. So they're doing something right. People have some kind of food. Now I know it's not cool to complain as long as there's something on your plate. But once in a while, I'd like to have a giant slab of beef. Beef is very expensive, relatively speaking.
Ritsu, 来なかったね.
Ritsu never showed.
どうしたんだろうな.
I wonder what's up. Right, their friend, the 4th member of their group, never showed up to school.
他の誰かならともかく、律だからね. 何があったのかな.
For anyone else, I wouldn't be worried.
少し考えてみよう.
Let's put our heads together a minute. We don't actually at least have some greens. Yeah, that would be good. But that would also make your diet more or less nutritionally complete. You don't require meat. You could use beans instead. Or a few other things with protein in them. Yep, Sir Matthew Perry may never have opened the borders in this world, so there's no anime. Truly life is suffering in this version of Japan. Though that does beg the question, since we are in 1940, Does Japan have its overseas empire? Does it have Taiwan? Does it have... I don't remember when it goes to take a bite out of Manchuria. Does it have Korea? I'm curious what territory it holds. Does it just hold the main islands? I'm not sure what the state of Japan actually is in this setting in terms of territory. Manchuria was the 30s? Absolutely. Okay, so that makes it easier. They haven't presumably already... They have presumably already taken it. The thing is, we don't know if they were expansionist at any point. 1931 was their invasion. Okay, so if you said if you said like 1941 or something was their invasion, then I'd be like, okay, then they probably haven't taken it yet. 30s, they probably have that. They probably have that, which means they presumably also have Korea, some islands around them, and possibly Taiwan. Which means they should have a good amount of food and resources. Oh. Well then. I wonder what they're doing. Even the perpetually carefree Tadayasu is concerned. He stops eating and falls silent, a finger against his lips to show that he's deep in thought. Why might Ritsu be absent? She's bossy, playful, and often does things that seem illogical but can also be surprisingly faithful about some things. Like school, for example, as evidenced by the record of perfect attendance that today came to a crashing end. She's never been sick a day in her life, and I doubt an elephant stepping on her would faze her too much.
やっぱ夜遊びが過ぎたのかね。大番に捕まって今頃留置所で腐ってんのかな。
She probably stayed out too late and got caught by the watch. She might be sitting in jail right now. Well, hopefully it's just jail. Or something cool. It could be something cool, right? She could be that character that discovers something that changes all the characters' lives. That's the only explanation I can come up with. It looks like Tadayasu, however, has a different idea. He suddenly looks up after a few minutes of silence, his eyes so keen I can't help but gasp. Even Konatsu stiffens at his expression.
何か
It's something bad. While Konatsu and I are your run-of-the-mill blue-collar kids, Tadayasu comes from an upper-middle-class family. What's he doing at this school again? Which means he has access to more info than we do. Yeah, you say they're either using all resources on the outside or they have internal country conflicts, which explain the destruction of Osaka? Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking they are not internally stable, too. Or are still trying to stabilize, considering we don't really have a timeline for when that last rebellion was. So it could just be civil war after civil war after civil war, keeping them confined to the mainland? Or the main island, sorry. Mainland would be actually on the continent. Maybe he overheard his parents talking about something that rings a bell? Konatsu and I find ourselves waiting silently for him to weigh in.
Yuhi.
Yuhi? Tadayasu begins, his tone grave.
なんだ
Yeah?
認知はしてあげて
Don't make her sue for child support.
どういう思考手順を踏んでそうなった
And what led you to that conclusion?
ユーヒー、早く食べないと昼休み終わるよ。
Hurry up and eat. Lunch is almost over.
ああ
Yeah. Konatsu returns to eating her lunch, too fed up with Tadayasu's BS to bother beating him to a pulp. I comply with her request and sit back down myself. Let's see. Tadayasu, meanwhile, stands. He's a little wobbly. I was rereading the text to just make sure I got everything right.
これで炎の友情というわけだね
Can't call yourselves friends unless you've had it out in the ring. Oh, so do we need to throw hands with him now?
かなり色々と省略してる気がするけどまあいいやどうでも
You might have missed the point,
つ
but
うか
fine.
なお前病気とか家の手伝いとかの可能性をまず考えろよ
How about a more logical guess, like maybe she's sick or helping with housework or something?
考えたけどどっちも律らしくはないんじゃないかな
I considered that, but neither seemed likely for Ritsu. Is she from an outlying village, perhaps?
そういうことが絶対にないってこともないでしょ
Even she has to have her off days?
ちょっと想像はつかないけどな。
Maybe, but I can't imagine it. The Ritsu we know, whose flights of fantasy dominate her every waking moment, would never succumb to illness or allow herself to be roped into chores. But then I can't think of any other explanation. Well, even if something is up, we're not going to get anywhere debating it amongst ourselves.
放課後様子見に行ってみるか。
Should we check on her after school?
そうね私は問題なし用事
I
も
got
な
no
いし
plans.
あ
How
ん
about you,
たは
Tadayasu?
片安
Does anyone actually do this?
もちろん行くよ。気にかか
Of
る
course
し
I'll
ね
go.。
それに僕ならいざとなれば融通の利く産婦人科を紹介できるし。
I want to know what's going on, and if worst comes to worst, I know a discreet midwife.
これ以上そのネタを引っ張るとどうしてかお前の中手骨が1本ずつ減っていくというクルスの粉的破壊現象が勃発するんだがそれでもいいか
The next time you go there, your fingers are going to start flying off in one of those Konatsu-style spontaneous dismemberment events. Spontaneous dismemberment. I've heard of spontaneous combustion, but spontaneous dismemberment, that's a new one to me.
おかしいな。僕的には完璧な論理的帰結で説明するとユーヒどう頑張っても僕の小指に90度以上の角度を取らせるのは無理だと思うし、なんかすごく痛いよ。
Maybe it's only under specific conditions that people spontaneously dismember themselves. Oh, that's strange. It's only possible. I'm sure it's the only possible explanation. If you let me elaborate. Yui, I don't think pinkies are meant to bend past 90 degrees. Just a little bit of suffering. Probably
って
deserves
いう
it.
かそんなことよりも決定的に見過ごしてはならない要素が忠康の発言の中にあったような気がするんだけど気のせいかしら
Oh, you're not wrong. I feel like there's something I should be doing here. Something that could cost Yuhi a few kidneys. Or is it my imagination?
いや小夏それは忘れろ忘れるんだ
That's right. Just forget everything you've heard. With our plans settled, oh, never mind what happened along the way, the three of us get back to our lunch.
夕日よく噛んで食べなさい
Yuhi, chew thoroughly before swallowing.
早く食えっつったろうがさっき
You just told me to hurry.
両立するのよ顎の
Do
高速回転で
You can move your jaw faster than that. This is our cousin who casually beat our ass before we got to school.
俺のガラスの顎にあんまり無茶を言うな先生
You know, I broke this thing going 10 rounds with the heavyweight champ. Don't ask me to... Mr. Suzukawa? The instant the name Suzukawa leaves my lips, Konatsu spins 180 degrees, chair and
す
all.
ごいクルビット並みだね今の。
She just pulled a coup.
関節部にボールベアリングでも積んでるんじゃないかこいつ
She's gotta have ball bearings for joints. She turned 180 degrees, chair and all. It's the face, the front. I think.
鈴川先生何か
Suzukawa, is there anything I can do for you?
ああうん
Yes. Suzukawa is standing motionless, his arm raised like he was about to say hello. Konatsu's inhuman maneuver must have shorted his brain out for a second.
悪いな食事中に
Nice. Sorry to interrupt your lunch.
いえこんな豚野郎どもと顔を付き合わせての食事にはもう飽き飽きしていたところでしたさついっとどうぞ
Fine, I was just getting tired of speaking to those swine. Please have a seat. Interesting. Well, we know who she's into. Konatsu, right. Her name's Konatsu. I had to look that up. We know who Konatsu's into. Simping for the teacher. Classic middle school, high school behavior.
いや席がないだろ
There are no
じゃ
seats.
ああんた机になりなさい忠康は椅子
You can be the desk, and Tadayasu can be the chair.
どんな教育現場だそれ
When did this school become an S&M club?
ああいや食事はもう済ませたから
Don't mind me, I've already eaten. Nice.
手ぶらなんですから見ればわかります。
Obviously, since you're not carrying a lunchbox.
分かってないのは脳髄が瞬間的に納豆菌化したその女だけです
She's the only one who didn't realize since her brain turned to nada the second you arrived.
じゃあ何かご用事が
So, what can I do for you? Nothing we say reaches Konatsu's ears. She's practically in Mars' orbit by now, and on a straight course for the Jupiter belt.
風間のことなんだが
About Kazuma.
あのヤシガニが何か
Yes, what did that coconut crab do this time?
よし
Coconut crab?
聞き流してください
Ignore her. Please. Damn, I'm such a good
今
friend.
日どうして欠席したか聞いているか
Do you know why she's absent today?
いいえ、それが全くさっぱり。
We have no idea.
ちょうどさっきまでそのことを話していたところで
We were actually just discussing that.
そうか
I see. So Suzukawa is worried too. I guess it's no surprise. Ritsu is famous for being the only delinquent with perfect attendance. The only delinquent, but she has the only delinquent with perfect attendance. Doesn't that make you not a delinquent? Unless I guess you're just acting up in class all the time?
最後に見たのはいつだ
When was the last time you saw her?
昨日の夕方6時頃っすね
Last night around 6.
確か昨日は八幡宮で人形劇を見てそこで解散したのよね
Not a puppet show at Hachiman's shrine, Konatsu recalls, staring at the ceiling. Her faculties appear to be recovering, if slowly, and then we split up.
俺と小夏は家に帰って
Konatsu and I headed home.
僕は少しリツと一緒にいたけど、源氏山のあたりで別れたよ。もう少し遊んでいくって言ってたね。
I hung out with Ritsu a little while longer, but we split up around Genji Yama. She said she had a few more things to do.
何時ぐらい
When was that?
7時前だったと思う。
Before 7, I think. Before 7, he says. This guy, he's roasting us. He's roasting us about getting Ritsu pregnant, and he's the one who was with her last. Yeah, he might be projecting. Maybe that's what he's doing. He's projecting hard.
その後はわからないか
So you don't know where she went after
リ
that?
ツ、家に帰ってないんですか？
She's not at home? Tadayasu gets straight to the heart of the matter. Of course, if Suzukawa was asking us, it can only mean...
風間の近所に住んでいる大松に聞いたところでは少なくとも朝の時点では帰宅していなかったようだ今はわからないが
According to a neighbor, she wasn't there this morning. She might be back now, but
電話して聞いてみればどうです？
can't you phone her house?
いや風間の家には電話がない
They don't have a
ってい
phone.
うかそんなもんがあるのはお前の家だけだろ
You're the only one around here with a phone. It is the
そっ
40s.
か、道理で全く役に立たないと思った。
Oh, no wonder I don't get much use out of it. No, he doesn't know anyone who owns a phone.
間抜けな会話はいいから
These two fools aside.
先生あんまり大きな声で言いたくはないけど外泊自体はそんなに珍しくないんです
I don't
あ
want
の
this
子の
getting
場合
around. But it's not unusual for her to stay out overnight.
それは知っているだからご家族もあまり心配していないようだし先生も今大騒ぎする気はないんだが
That's why our family isn't too worried yet, and why I'm not making a big deal out of it. Suzukawa is pretty chill. If we had Uehara as our homeroom teacher, things wouldn't be so pleasant right now.
まあ風間なら大丈夫だろ
I'm sure she's
うあれでし
alright.
っかりしているしなこれが新田だったら先生も慌てるんだが
Kazuma's a fine student, all things considered. If it were Nita missing, then I'd be
なん
panicking.
でそこで引き合いに出されるのが俺なんだよ先生
Why me, Mr. Suzukawa? Why me?
それがわからないくらい子供だからよ
Because you're too immature to recognize your own fault. Protagonist Kyun, life is suffering.
子供であることに気づけば子供ではないのだけど。あ、なんか哲学を発見したよ、夕日。
When you recognize your immaturity, you cease to be immature. Oh, I've discovered a paradox.
やかましい
Okay,
冗
I was
談だ
kidding. Anyway,
食事中に邪魔をして悪かったなちゃんと食って運動もしとけ午後の授業寝るなよ
okay, sorry to interrupt your lunch. Make sure you get some exercise after you eat. I don't want you falling asleep in the afternoon. Okay.
ウィース
What's that, Roger? Suzukawa heads off, his stride purposeful, his posture flawless. I can see why Konatsu freaks out around him. Anyway,
リツのやつ
Ritsu, where the hell is she? Are we gonna skip to post-school? That seems like the right time to skip to. Ritsu's house is in a neighborhood near Zeniarai Benten Shrine. Legend has it that this shrine, located in a mountain cave, contains a natural spring with the power to duplicate coins. The fact that the area isn't overflowing with millionaires suggests it doesn't work too well. In fact, most of the nearby houses are of modest, a man with less tact might say shoddy design. All dry wood and thatch. A single match could go a long way here if you were so inclined. Ritsu's family owns a small general store. They sell food, stationery, toiletries, everything you need for a day-to-day life, which makes them pretty valuable in this small community. It's because business is good that Ritsu is able to spend all day fooling around. Of course, if she really went all out, she could probably bankrupt the store in 3 days. It'd take one of the big companies with buildings on the waterfront to support an uninhibited Ritsu. We deserve some of the credit for her store's success. Why go all the way to the supermarket on the highway when you've got low prices right here, plus a discount we get? As friends of the family, sometimes they even give us leftover food for free. Seems like a good deal to me. Although,
余り物には余る理由があるんだから。
there's a reason this stuff doesn't sell. Yeah.
この芋サイダーなる代物がちょっとあれだったからといって文句を言う筋合いではないんだ。
Potato cider? It's pretty, yeah, I guess we can't complain if it's free. Are they complaining about, wait, is there actually such a thing as potato cider? Wouldn't that just be like shitty vodka? I don't know the process for making potato cider. It sounds, I feel like if you were just, like, you're making cider out of potatoes, isn't the, like, apple cider, like, isn't apple cider, like, fermented, it's like, it's like fermented apple, right? Like, I know it's usually, like, non-alcoholic because apples don't make alcohol, but still. Wouldn't that be, wouldn't that just be, like, very close to vodka? Sweet potato cider, maybe? I don't know, I just think it'd be funny if they had, like, really low-quality vodka and we're complaining about it. I'm like, oh, whatever, that'd be cool, okay. Potato cider, I guess we can't complain. Guess not. Tadayasu and I walk home side by side, the wind cold against our skin. Dutifully drinking what can only be described as a bold experiment in new taste sensations gone horribly wrong. Konatsu follows at a short distance. She wasn't home.
さすがにおじさんもそわそわしてたな。
Her dad was a little on edge.
おばさんは笑ってたけどね。
Her mom seemed fine though. I think back to our conversation with Ritsu's parents, neither seemed to have any idea where she could be. They hadn't seen her since she left for school yesterday morning, making it one whole day since anyone remembers seeing her. This is the first time anything like this has happened. Sure, she spends a lot of time out of the house, even stays out overnight sometimes, but even then, she never fails to show herself to friends and family at least once a day.
どう思う？おじさんは一昨日の晩に少し注意したのが勘に触ったんじゃないかなんて言ってたが。
Her dad was worried. She was mad at him for scolding her the other night.
それで家で？まさかそんなの日常会話でしょ？
You really think she'd run away over something that petty?
もし腹を立てたのならその場で飛び出すのが律だろうね。一晩経ってからっていうのはわけがわからないよ。
She'd been really pissed. She would have taken off right there. I can't imagine her waiting a whole day to react. One of Ritsu's more praiseworthy traits, except when it's not, is her ability to forget anything unpleasant with a single good night's sleep. She might be quick to quarrel, but she's also quick to make it up. Alright. Cool.
だよな。
Do you think your mom's right?
じゃあ、
She's
やっ
deep into
ぱり
some
おばさんの言ってた通り、遊ぶのに夢中で時間を忘れてるだけってのもな。
もう丸一日よ。
Been a whole day.
よほど楽しいことを見つけたんだろうね。
She must have found something that really piqued her interest. So, is she in trouble or did she find something?
おいおい、本気か？
You're serious?
半分は。熱中するタイプなのは間違いないよ、律。
She does tend to go pretty deep. Yeah, but there's gotta be a limit to how deep she can go.
結
There's
局
always deeper.
居場所はわからないのね。
There's always a bigger fish, so we still have no idea where she is.
そうだね。でも心配事が一つ減ったよ。
Look at the bright side. We can rule out one possibility.
何？
What's that?
家にどこからも連絡がないなら鎌倉大番の取り締まりに引っかかったという可能性はないよ。律が黙秘でもしない限り、いや、そしたって身元なんかすぐにわかるし。
If their family hasn't heard anything, there's pretty much no chance she got caught by the watch, unless she keeps silent, or no, even then, they'd have no trouble IDing her. He's right. The Kamakura Watch, Rokuhara's security force, may be as oppressive as the rest of Rokuhara, but that doesn't mean they have time or resources to waste. They wouldn't throw a civilian in jail just so they could treat her to 3 meals a day. Whatever their intentions, the first thing they do is contact her family.
全く同じ理由で警察のご厄介になっている可能性も除けるね。
And we can also forget about the cops having her.
警察はもともと何もしねえよ。
Not like anything could get them off their lazy asses to begin with. Yeah, cops exist in Kamakura, but that's all they do, just like every other public agency that isn't run by the shogunate. Useless cops.
少なくとも牢屋に放り込まれてはいないってことね。
Well,
安心していいんだか悪いんだか。
It's better than that they're useless than actively making situations worse, guess. So she's not in jail. I don't know whether to be relieved.
あ？そりゃいいに決まってんだろ。最悪の可能性がそれだったんだから。
Or ran into something or someone. Of course we should be relieved. That was the worst case scenario.
犯罪に巻き込まれたって線を考えてないのあんた。
Hasn't it maybe occurred to you she could be the victim of a crime? Yeah, you haven't ruled out the worst case yet, my friend.
ごめん。
Sorry. Of course it is.
考えないわけないよね。
いや。
It's cool. It's cool. I know it's stupid, but I felt like mentioning the possibility might actually make it real. Still, maybe it's time to face our fears.
小夏。
Konatsu?
ひとまずその推測は排除していいと思うよ。
I don't think we have to worry about that just yet. Go to Genshiyama, where you last saw her, maybe? See if anyone saw her there. Which I assume is like a hill or a mountain? From the Yama?
どうして？
No.
確かに現在、大和の治安はお世辞にもいいとは言えない。この鎌倉は六原の本拠地だけにいくらかマシだけど、所詮は比較の問題だ。
True, Yamato isn't exactly the safest country in the world right now. Kamakura's crime rate's low thanks to Rokuhara, but only relatively.
戦争の傷跡は言えず、政治は市民を軽視というより無視して進められ、挙句の果てには。
Scars from the war are still deep, and the government treats us like we don't exist. And then there's Tadayasu thrusts a bony finger at the sky.
空から魔王が降ってくる。銀色の星が落ちてきて、誰も彼も殺してしまう。
And then there's the demon who comes from the sky. If the silver star should fall, no one will be spared. A shiver races up my spine. Tadayasu just mentioned the one thing in Yamato more feared than Rokuhara. The silver star. Ginsego. Everyone from the poorest beggar to the wealthiest merchant lives in terror of Ginsego's
こん
coming.
な情勢で犯罪が日常的じゃなかったら、その方が不思議だね。でもさ、ちょっと考えてみようよ。
Factor in all that, and I'd be more surprised if crime rates were low, but let's think about this for a second.
律が犯罪に巻き込まれたとして、どんなものがあり得ると思う？傷害、殺人、拉致、誘拐。
What
こ
could
の
have
あたりじ
happened
ゃ
to
ないかな。
Ritsu? Assault, murder, kidnapping, that's about it, don't you think?
傷害事件なら24時間連絡がないというのはおかしいね。自力で家まで帰れないような重傷だったとしても、病院が家に連絡を取るはずだ。
For assault, I can't imagine there being no contact for 24 hours. Even if she were hurt so bad she couldn't go home, the hospital would be sure to contact her parents. True?
重傷で病院にも運ばれなかった場合、これは次のケースになる。
If she's badly hurt but not taken to a hospital, that leads to the next possibility.
殺人。でもこれもどうかな。人を殺すのは簡単なことだよ。けれど、その後始末は難しい。普通はすぐ発覚してしまうものなんだ。
Killing someone is easy enough, but disposing of bodies is hard. Usually they're discovered pretty quickly. Yeah, but not within 24 hours, depending on... Like, if someone gets killed, the body isn't necessarily disposed the same day, my friend. And there's plenty of times when like creepy people have murdered someone and they just left their body in their house or whatever.
人間の死体はとてつも
Kidnapping
な
is
く
also
目立
still an
つ。
option here.
鎌倉のような都市に死体が発生して1日もの間誰にも気づかれないなんてのは相当に低い確率なんじゃないかな。
I can't imagine a whole day would go by without it being discovered, not in this city. Tadayasu's tone is matter of fact, his expression the same as always. To be honest, he scares me a little.
最後の誘拐。これはいいよね。
Easy,
誘拐
right?
自体が目的ならともかく、営利誘拐なら身代金の要求をしなきゃ意味がないんだから。
Okay, this one's easy, right? I mean, if it's one thing, if the kidnappers other motives, but if they're after money, there'd be a ransom demand by now. Maybe. I don't actually know what the timeline for kidnappings for ransom money are. At least in the 20th century.
そうね。
I guess. Kanatsu nods. Tadayasu's explanation seems to have calmed her down a
じ
little.
ゃあリツはひどいことにはなってないのね。
So she's not in any real trouble, right?
断定はできないけれど、とりあえず今は心配しなくてもいいと思う。
Well, we can't be sure, but I don't think we have to worry just yet. It does seem moderately improbable that she was murdered unless she lives out of town, but it doesn't look like she does.
僕らがこうしてあれこれ言い合っている間にひょっこり帰ってくるっていうのが一番ありそうな話だよ。
If we just show up out of nowhere while we're talking about her, that's the most likely scenario. Decent chance. At least right now, Tadayasu concludes, we fall silent with only the sound of the wind between us. What he said makes sense. He's never been one for brilliant flashes of inspiration, but where logical analysis of a problem is concerned, he's the best of us. True, there doesn't seem to be a motive for murder. Kidnapping and murder are both possible, but you probably shouldn't assume that. You should assume she's missing on her own recognizance for maybe the first day and then start looking for her. But I mean, I'd start by going back to where you were last and trying to figure out where she was going. I believe him, or I should, but I can't shake this feeling. No. Forget it. I should know by now Tadayasu's analyses are worth more than my half-assed hunches. Just look at the difference in our test scores. I usually get about half of what he does, thanks to most of my answers being guesses. Really? Tadayasu has to be right, Ritsu will show up any second now. That decided, I just take another sip from the juice pack in my hand.
それはそれとしてユーヒ。
Anyway, Yuhi?
ああ、
Yeah.
芋サイダーって一体誰が考えたんだろうね。
I came up with potato cider in the first place. I don't know, but they got
Sana.
terrible taste. Who knows? We exchange a glance and a sigh. There's still half a carton of slimy, white, carbonated stuff to go. That sounds so gross. Tomorrow will tell. When I get to school tomorrow, Ritsu will be there. I know it. It'll be like nothing happened.
どうしたのユウヒさん。その帰りが小便引っ掛けられたかのようなご迷走は私が悪党どもに捕まって臨間されているとでも思ってたのかしら。
What's the matter, Yuhi? You looked so disappointed. Did you think I was getting raped by hoodlums in some alleyway?
きっと私が全裸でゴミ箱に詰められて肉便器在中なんてのしつきで送られてくるのをチャックを下ろす準備万端で待ち構えてたのね。もうなんていやらしいの。
This guy's imagination has some fantastic roasts. He's roasting himself. Remember, that's not her dialogue. He's roasting himself. And he's like, yeah, what would she say tomorrow? No doubt you were waiting with your pants down for me to show up on your doorstep buck naked in a trash bag with a sign saying sex slave around my neck. You're such a pervert. Oh man, I can see it now. I think I might
け
cry.
どもし
If Ritsu's not there
いな
tomorrow,
かったら
if she's not there, then we'll look for her. We're the ones who can. We're the only ones who can. The cops aren't worth shit.
何にしても明日だ。
We'll see what happens tomorrow.
明日ね。
Tomorrow. Yeah.
で、
Well? Well?
なぜ俺の部屋にいて布団に潜り込もうとしているのかを問うている。で、
Well, what the
な
hell
の
are you
だと
doing
い
in
う
my
理解
bed?
今立ちどころに求めたい。
Oh.
なんだか怖いの。 一緒に寝ていい？
Can I sleep with you?
声だけでそこまで可愛さを演出するお前の才能には脱帽するし、正直憎いくらいだが、複雑な形で絡み合っていく俺たちの両足がより強烈に何かを語っているとは思わないか。
As cute as you make your offer sound, a disgustingly impressive skill, I might add. The pain coming from my legs has a very different story to tell. Exhibit A. Again?
私気づいたの。あなたとこうしている時が一番落ち着くんだって。
I think it's when we're together like this I'm most at peace.
どうしてかな。
You're guessing someone was out of sweet potatoes and made cider with normal potatoes instead? Yeah, probably. I wonder what... Why is our sister... cousin, sorry, flirting with us like this?
病気だよ。
'Cause you're fucked in the head? Yeah, possibly. Save me. I'm pressing the quick save button. Scene end. Quick save button. Perfect timing. Prisoner 048. Charges: murder. 11 counts. Oh, that's not a good... That's not a good transition! That's not a good transition! Parricide. 1 count. Wait, not Parricide would just be a parent? Can be any relative. But I don't think she killed one of her relatives. This must be someone else, right? From Kamakura, Chief of Police, to Kanto District Jail. By imperial decree, prisoner 048 is to be released forthwith. Wait, what? Sorry. He killed 11 people. And by imperial decree, he's to be released forthwith. Well, that's going to end well. Oh boy, they're letting murderers go free. What a lovely country. Sounds like America. He only killed 11 people. We'll let him out after 3 months. You're free to go. So there is a murderer on the loose. Good to know. Ritsu's not at school the next day, nor at home, nor anyone else. Now it's getting serious. Disappearances aren't all that rare in Kanto these days, but it's different when it happens to someone you know. All 12 murders, probably an accident. We only saw Suzukawa for morning homeroom. I hear he spent all day between Ritsu's house, the principal's office, and the police station. I caught sight of him marching rapidly through the halls several times, his expression always grim. He probably filed a missing persons report with the police, and of course, there's no way Suzukawa or Ritsu's parents expect anything to come of that. It's just something to lift their spirits a bit, like tossing coins into the offering box at a shrine. I'd be impressed if the cops pretend to investigate. More likely, they'll just jot down some bullshit in a ledger, and that'll be the end of it. If you ask why 12 murders and not 11, 12's on the way. Yeah, I didn't question the 12. I'm like, yeah, 12 suddenly seems a lot more likely. It's like, maybe she found something cool. Or they just released a murderer for fun? These past few years, I haven't heard a single story of the police doing their duty, whether it's finding a lost kitten or catching a murderer. All their resources are apparently devoted to helping the shogunate hunt down rebels and root out dissidents, which makes them a little more than Rokuhara henchmen. In other words, they're worth less than shit. So we've got to take things into our own hands.
こっちじゃないみたいだね。常盤まで降りてきて宮野さんの店を覗かないっていうのはちょっと考えにくいよ。
She didn't come this way. No way she'd come to Tokiwa without swinging by Mr. Miyano's shop.
他に何もないよな、この辺。
Well, there's nothing else around here,
少
right?
なくとも律にとって面白いものはね。
At least nothing that'd interest
とな
Ritsu.
ると、駅方面か北鎌か。
So she headed toward the train station? I mutter, unfurling a map of the city in my head. That or North Kamakura. I take Tadayasu's silence as agreement. We began by tracing Ritsu's steps from when she and Tadayasu split up 2 nights ago. She gets around, but this is her hometown and she tends to stand out. It shouldn't be impossible for a couple of amateur detectives to track her down, providing we're willing to put in the legwork. We've already made some progress. Konatsu is off questioning Ritsu's friends. They're mostly girls, so we figured it'd be better if we didn't tag along. Here's the train station. The train network is the lifeblood of Kanto, but of course, we regular Joes don't get much use out of it. Not since Rokuhara came to power, anyway. Wait, didn't Rokuhara come to power like 100 years ago? Today, the railway is used mostly for shogunate business. While it's possible for civilians to use it, the price of a ticket is absurd. Interesting. Maybe it wasn't a time skip. Yeah, maybe there wasn't a time skip from that first scene. I'm like, it's 1940, and tickets are too expensive for regular people to use the train. Those have to be some incredibly expensive tickets. If the only people who could use the rail network are agents of the Shogun. I can see why people don't quite like this government. If the trains are that expensive, it's one thing to be like the train network sucks and people barely use it. And you know, it's not as efficient as others, but I mean, even in Canada, you can still use it. It's not really worth it if you have a car, but you can still use it. Better to take a ship if you want to go to Edo or Sunpu. It's slower than the train, but it's way cheaper and more reliable. All of which makes it hard to imagine that Ritsu left Kamakura on a train, but that's not why we're here. Alright, where do we start? Trains were established in 1870s. Yeah, they are recent in Japan, but it's like... they've been around for like 100 years. They've been around for like 70 years at that point. And we're in... oh, I guess we're not in like a major city, right? We're in a small town. Now we hit our first roadblock. Like most train stations, except those purely for military use, Kamakura Station is surrounded by shops and entertainment. You've got bars, theaters, restaurants, all the places Ritsu loves to go. It's gonna be impossible to search them all. I think we can rule out anywhere too expensive. And we can forget about the places idiots hang out. Yeah, idiots and crazies. They don't get along. And she's definitely crazy. Well, it's not easy keeping up with Ritsu's insane whims. At least she has some basic humanity, which is more than I can say for some people. So we eliminate the high and low ends, which leaves us with places where regular people hang out. That's the largest category of all. It's something, at least. So our impossible task is now merely Herculean. Well, something. Wanna try narrowing it down a little bit more? Of course. How? Wherever she went, she'd have to pass through this area. Let's start by asking around here. If we're lucky, we might be able to learn which direction she went. Around here? I look around. Tadayasu's suggestion makes sense, but... what, are we gonna ask everyone walking by? That'd be a stretch. What we need are people who frequent the area, not random pedestrians. Like the station attendant? No, he probably only sees what goes on inside the station. The duty cop? He probably doesn't see anything. He's sound asleep, looks like. On a bet he was actually doing his job 2 nights ago? I'll put my money elsewhere. The vendors. They close up when it gets dark. Who else is there? The prostitutes. How about her? It's then I first realize it's not that the woman is present, but I've been listening to her performance this whole time. I follow Tadayasu's gaze, and there she is, coaxing notes from the instrument cradled in her arms like a lover or perhaps a child. The sound is deep and throaty, yet gentle, like a faint wind rustling branches in the darkest reaches of an ancient forest. I guess buskers also works, right? That's the right word. The wind caresses no man's skin, and the sound reaches no man's ears. Not one pedestrian stops to listen to her play. She's alone, an island in the current of life. None will remember hearing her music, but later, tomorrow perhaps, or the next day, they'll find themselves humming a mysterious tune and wonder from where it came. But I've taken notice, and so I'm captivated by the beauty of her melody. Tadayasu? Yeah?
よく見つけられたな。
I'm amazed you spotted her.
そうだね。たまたまだと思うよ。不思議だな。よく見るとあんなに華やかな人なのに、なんで少し目を離すだけで途端にひっそりとするんだ
How
ろ
could
う。
someone so beautiful just fade away the second you take your eyes off her? Tadayasu is absolutely right. At a glance, it's obvious the narrow-eyed woman possesses exceptional beauty. Her hair trails in shimmering waves down her back, enveloping her body like a gown of fine silk. You can't possibly but make her presence known amidst the rabble, and yet at a distance she seems to melt into the background.
ああいう人を探してみていたから気づけたんだろうな。
Probably because I was looking for someone like her.
ああいう人？
Someone like her?
路上で芸を見せる人。
A street
そう
performer.
いう人なら結構遅くまでいると思って。
I figured they usually stay out pretty late.
けど、あの人が芸人さんかどうかは疑問だね。あの芸じゃお金は稼げないよ。
I'm not sure she's really a performer. How can she make any money like that?
そりゃそうだな。
Oh, good point. You can't do business if no one notices you. It's a shame, since her music is definitely worth shelling out for. I guess there's no harm in asking. Tadayasu and I exchange a nod and then walk up to the woman. Excuse. A hand appears in front of my face.
あれ？
Without speaking a word, the elderly woman urges us to silence, and that's fine by me. What I want to know is,
この人どこから出てきた？
where did she come from?
いやー、どこだろう。僕も
That's a
気
good
づかなか
question.
ったよ。
I didn't notice her at all. Side by side with the well-dressed musician, she looks exactly like a faithful servant, accompanying her wealthy mistress. Her tuxedo is plain, if of high quality, and she has no real distinguishing features to speak of, at least compared to the beauty beside her. Perhaps that is why we didn't notice her at first. While Tadayasu and I are still trying to make sense of things, the performance comes to an end, and as the last notes trail off, the old lady bows gracefully and steps back to make room for her mistress. The young woman looks up, brushing her hair out of her eyes, and meets my gaze. Hello? At the moment, I'm struck by a horribly conceited, absurdly foolish notion. I have this woman's unconditional love. What? Alright. This is a delusion, of course, as any sane person would tell me. I'd have to be out of my mind to think that a woman I'd only just met, and moreover one who puts most models to shame, would feel anything for me. Let alone the second you met them. But her eyes, she looks at me with such boundless affection. Can I be blamed for wanting to believe? I open my mouth, hoping that conversation will dispel my madness. But nothing comes out. I don't know what to say. What am I doing? Why did we come here?
夕日、どうしたの？勃起してるよ。
What's wrong? You got a tent in your pants.
せめて顔が赤いとか言え！
Didn't you just say that I'm
だったん
blushing?
ですか？
You have an erection?
うわ、聞かれてる、もうダメだ。
She heard you, my life's over. I try to make a run for it, but the old lady is suddenly right in front of me, and with an encouraging smile, she seizes my shoulders, spins me around, and pushes me back to my original position. Now you're being bullied by an old lady. Oof. The woman's gaze has not changed.
夕日、友情が重いよ。
Your brotherly love hurts me so.
今のは混じり気なしの殺意だバカ野郎。
That was pure malice, dumbass. At least the shock restored me to my sanity. Not that I'm grateful or anything. Excuse me.
はい。
Yes.
少しお伺いしたいことが。すいません。俺この辺に住んでる学生で新田優飛って言います。
I'd like to ask you about, sorry. I'm Nita Yuhi. I live around here.
はい。
Hello? She nods and then...
優飛さん。
Yuhi? She speaks my name as though it were the most precious thing in the world. My man is... I mean, she's not famous or anything. I would say starstruck if he's... It seems like he's just fallen in love. We'll go with that. Love at first sight, maybe? Still, be still my beating heart.
こっちは稲木忠康。
This is Inagi Tadayasu. Why are you introducing yourself when you have a question?
稲木です。ところでさっきから夕日がおかしいのは別に気候壁ではなく綺麗なお姉さんを前にして浮かれてるだけなんですよとフォローしてあげたりする友情覇王だったり。
Pleased to meet you. By the way, the reason he's acting strange isn't that he's a dangerous pervert, but that he can't control himself in the presence of beautiful ladies. I'm such a good friend for pointing this out. They call me the Friendship Master. These guys are completely fucking up their attempt at getting information. If this is how all their encounters go, it is a wonder that they even reasoned she went in this direction.
お前もう帰れ。
You can go home. You haven't even asked her a
は
question
い
yet.
友情覇王さん。
Pleased to meet you, Friendship Master.
はい、こっちで覚えてもらえたよ夕日。
I got her call me by a nickname. You're an
それ
idiot.
でお姉さんはここで演奏をしている人なんですよね。
May I ask if you're always playing music?
夕日、その言い方だとまるで他に習性のない動物みたいだよ。
That makes her sound like some kind of music playing robot. Jesus Christ, man.
つまり
What I meant was...
ここで毎日演奏して生計を立てている人なのかということですね。
You want to know if I play here every day, right?
はいそうです。
Yeah, that's right.
CPU の性能差が如実に知れる会話だな。
This conversation makes it easy to compare processing speeds. He's right and I hate him for
残
it.
念ですが、私は鎌倉には来たばかりですの。ここでこの子を弾くのは今日が初めてです。
I'm sorry to disappoint. I only just arrived in Kamakura. This is my first time playing here.
そうなんですか。
Oh,
残念だね夕日。
no luck,
Hold
huh? Hey. Trying to make her feel bad?
申し訳ありません。お役に立てなかったようです。
Sorry, I couldn't be of service.
いえこっちの都合ですから。
Don't worry about it. It's our problem. As I feared, the woman looks crestfallen. I raced to put her mind at ease.
別に大したことではないので。
It's really nothing important. My friend could have been kidnapped or killed and has been missing for 2 days, but no big deal. It's not important.
それは結構ひどい言い草じゃん。
That's a terrible thing to say. A thumb in the kidney stopped him from finishing.
そうですか。
Are you sure?
ではせめて道を示して差し上げましょう。
At least let me show you the way. What?
道を
The way?
あら、申し遅れました。私は
Oh, forgive me. I should introduce myself. She plucks a string on her instrument as though in greeting.
ご覧の通り、
As you can
は
see.
い。
Yes?
流しの占い師です。
I'm a fortune teller.
え
What? We thought you were a musician.
助手でございます。
And I am her assistant.
その楽器は
And the instrument?
大螺旋交差演奏法による占いを得意としておりまして、
I specialize in the great conjoined spiral of sound method of divination. What? Never heard of it.
鬼のようなうさんくささですね。
You're starting to sound like a recruiter for a new age cult. Yeah.
説明いたしますと、
Allow me to explain.
いえいいです別に。なんかその辺聞くとドツボにはまるような気が。
No, it's fine. Thank you. I'd rather not spend my life savings on Mystic
お
Rock.
嬢様、それは企業秘密でございます。
Mistress, you mustn't reveal trade secrets.
そうでした。企業秘密を守らなくては、占い業界から資格でも放たれては大変ですものね。
I wouldn't want the cabal of fortune tellers to send assassins. Have you missed anything? We're at the train station looking for our friend Ritsu. We saw someone we thought was a street performer. who is playing music on a stringed instrument. And it turns out she just arrived here and is a fortune teller. And that's about it. Our characters floundered over each other for 10 minutes because she's a mega hottie or something. She's a mega hottie, so that's where we're at now.
教習突撃専用占い師が襲ってくるやもしれませんな。
You might have to face those heavy assault fortune tellers again.
根本的なところでいろいろとおかしいって指摘してあげたらどうだい、夕日。
Why don't you take a second to point out how nuts all this sounds, Yuhi? You do it.
では、あなたの未来を占って差し上げます。
And now I shall read your fortune.
すいません。あんまり変な方法で占いとかしてほしくないっていうか、むしろそういうのは呪いの仲間なんじゃないかって思うんですけど、その辺どうなんでしょう。
I hate to say this, but I'd really rather not have my fortune read in such a bizarre and quite possibly cursed manner. I'd like my soul right where it is, if you don't mind.
見えます。
I see it.
なんとなく分かっていましたけど、無視なんですね。
I
つうか
kinda
楽器を
expected
使う
that.
なら見えるんじゃなくて聞こえるんじゃないですか。いえ、もういいです。別にどうでも。
Shouldn't it be like, I hear it and not I see it? Given the instrument and all? Whatever, I stopped caring.
その悟った横顔、素敵だよ、夕日。
Ah, you're getting it. You're practically glowing with enlightenment. For people who are seriously concerned about their friends' whereabouts, they really seem to be fucking around a lot here.
黙れ。
Shut up.
夕日さん。
The fortune teller calls my name, her demeanor suddenly
あ
grave.
なたには運命が待ち構えています。
I've
避け
seen
られ
your
ない
fate.
運命が。
Your unavoidable fate.
ああ、運命っすか。
My fate, huh? Figured as much. She can't be a fortune teller without a fate to foretell.
してお嬢様、その運命とは。
Sort of fate, mistress.
わいせつ行為を繰り返した挙句逮捕されると、僕はモテモテ、どんな女も簡単に落ちる。みんなには王子様と呼ばれていた。などと供述したりする運命が待っているのです。
What? After years of molesting women, you'll be arrested and thrown in prison. At your sentencing, you will say, I am a sex god. Women are putty in my hands. They called me the cockmaster. Such is your fate.
嫌だよ、そんな運命。
Can I have a different one, please?
夕日、僕たち学校を卒業しても友達だけど、会いには来ないでね。
You know we'll be friends forever, right? Just don't come to see me after we graduate.
鵜呑みにしてしかも見捨てるんじゃねえ。
You believe her? You're abandoning me already? I was right. It was
安心
cursed.
してください。安心してください。逃れる方法が一つだけあります。
Have no fear. There is one way to escape your fate.
壺を買えとか言うんじゃないでしょうね。
You're not gonna ask me to buy a pot or something, are you?
この鎌倉にいる限り、運命からは逃れられません。
As long as you remain in Kamakura, your fate is sealed.
鎌倉を離れることです。新田夕日さん。一日も早く、今、これからにでも。
You must leave Kamakura, Nita Yuhi. Today, right this moment if possible. Wow, that got dramatic fast. We went from Predator to this? Alright.
ご家族に相談なさい。きっと理解してくれます。
Talk with your family, I'm sure they'll understand. What?
いや、離れるったって。
Wait, leave?
そん
What's
な
going
急
on
に。
here?
さよ。
Sayo?
は、
The old lady steps forward and presents a piece of paper with both hands. It's
乗車券だね。
a train ticket, looks like. And not just any train ticket. An unlimited first class train ticket. What? I thought I was hallucinating. No such luck. With the ticket staring me in the face, I could get the royal suite on any train line in Yamato for the next 6 months. It's the most expensive kind of ticket there is. One you'll never see go for less than 50 grand. 3 months pay for an entry-level civil servant. Holy hell, that's expensive.
冗談でしょ。
Is this real?
お使いください。そのつもりがあるのなら。
Please use it if you wish to leave. Please use it if you wish to... My question is simple. Why would he wish to leave? He doesn't have much of an incentive other than a weird fortune teller giving him a ticket. And where would he go to? The woman's smiling. Still. She's always been smiling from the moment the first notes of her instrument touched my ears. If this is a joke, then so is everything that came before it, even that beautiful melody.
Yuhi.
Yuhi. Tadayasu tries to pull me away, but I shake him off. He's trying to help me, that much I know. Don't worry, man, I got this.
占い師さん。
It's fortune teller.
はい。
Yes?
あなたがどうしてこんなことをするのか、正直さっぱりわからないです。でも、あなたが本当に俺を心配してくれてるのはわかりました。
To be honest, I have no idea why you're doing this, but I know you're genuinely worried about me.
ありがとうございます。
Thanks. I bow deeply.
でも、これはお返しします。
But I can't accept this ticket.
なぜ？
Why not?
受け取る理由がないとか、そういうことじゃないんです。
It's not
あ
that
な
I
た
don't
が
have
本
reason
気
to
で俺
take
を
it.
案じてくれているというのは十分な理由ですから。
Reason enough.
けど、少なくとも今はダメです。俺にはここでやることがありますから。
But I can't, at least not yet. There's still something I need to do here.
それは大切なことなのですか？
Is it that important to you? You literally just said it wasn't very important to her face.
はい。
Yes.
そのためにあなたが本当に過酷な運命に飲まれるとしても捨てられないほど？
So important. You won't abandon it even if it means a terrible fate may befall you?
はい。俺が今やらなくてはならないのは仲間を助けることですから。
Yes, my friend needs help. I can't abandon her.
それが原因で俺に何かがあっても、その時は仲間が俺を助けてくれます。
And no matter what happens, I know my friends will be there for me. The woman falls silent, her expression unreadable, and then without warning, she plucks another string.
大回転爆裂炎上法が示した運命。
The great revolving wheel of flame has revealed your fate.
ちょっと変わったような。
Did the name change a little again? If by a little you mean completely, yeah.
私に見えるのは
It's
ユー
completely
ヒさん
different.
がそれに巻き込まれるところまで。その先は分かりません。運命に勝つか負けるか、あなた次第です。
My powers can only see up to the moment that fate entraps you and not beyond. Whether you conquer it or succumb to it is up to you.
親切げな顔をして不吉なことばかり申し上げてしまいましたね。どうかお許しを。今日のことは忘れてくださいまし。
I must apologize for taking advantage of your troubles. Deliver such dark news. Forgive me and forget what you've heard here.
そんな、なんて言ったらいいかわかんないですけど、本当迷惑なんかじゃなかったです。お姉さんのことは忘れません。
I won't forget you.
忘れたくないです。
I promise.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you. The corners of her eyes lower as she smiles, and her porcelain cheeks redden slightly like ripe peaches. Damn, she's really
い
beautiful.
やー、なんか僕はおおむね蚊帳の外でしたけど楽しかったですよ。演奏も良かったし、これつまらないものですがお礼です。
Well, I was pretty much a bystander at this whole encounter, but it was fun. I liked your music, so please take this as a symbol of our
あらあ
gratitude.
ら、どうも。
Oh my, thank you. Tadayasu hands the woman a juice pack. He must have bought it while we were talking. Sometimes I wish I could be so
さ
carefree.
よ。
Sayo.
はい。
ではお二方、私どもはこれで。
Nita Yuhi Inagi Tadayasu, I bid you farewell.
失礼いたします。
Good day, sirs. Supposed fortune teller gently nods, and her supposed assistant delivers a bow. And then the two take their leave, and I watch them melt into the crowd.
印象的な人たちだったね。
They were nothing if not memorable, wouldn't you say?
そうだな。
Sure were. I know I'll never forget the mysterious yet ever so caring woman I met today. Goodbye. I forgot to say it to her face, so I whisper it in my heart. The last thing I see before she vanishes from sight completely is her holding a hand to her mouth almost as if she was crying.
忠康、
Tadayasu?
なんだい？
お前が渡したあれ。
What did
Nanda.
you give her anyway?
あれ？
Oh, that?
実は密かにブームらしくて、そこの売店でも売ってた 100% 天然芋サイダ
I got it in the store over there. Seems all natural potato cider is more popular than we thought.
おどりゃ
Ah! Tadayasu's a dick and doesn't take their missing friend seriously.
お嬢様、あれでよろしかったのですか？
Mistress, are you sure this is for the best?
Eh?
It is?
シシク殿の指先はおそらくもう間近まで迫っておりましょう。
Shiku's men are sure to find him soon.
それでも彼の運命は彼が選ぶものです。
Even so, his fate is his own to decide.
まさしく。
Indeed.
私にできるのは運命を示して差し上げること。そしていずれ彼が運命と戦う時には
All I can do is
ほん
warn
の
him of
少
his
し
coming.
手助けをして差し上げること。
And perhaps lend a helping hand when it comes time for him to struggle against it.
さようでございますね。
As you say.
急ぎましょう、さよ。そろそろ本業に戻らなくては。
Let's hurry. We must return to our duties.
はい。
Of
そ
course.
れと
At a side.
は
Yes.
この新たな味覚の開拓に惜しく挑戦して華々しく散った英雄的ドリンク飲みませんかと？
Would you like to try this bold experiment in new taste sensations gone horribly wrong?
断じて結構でございます。
Not a snowball's chance in hell, mistress. Yep. Potato cider. Awful. That's all we know. It tastes
という
terrible.
わけで
And that's our report. Instead of even asking after the person who was missing, we just decided to fuck around with the fortune teller and left. Absolute... Fuck. Absolutely stupid. Alright. Well, they're dumbasses. Can't expect too much from them.
リツは竹林のあたりまでは帰ってきていたらしいんだよ。
Sounds like Ritsu made it as far as the bamboo grove.
弁天様の近くの竹林よね。
You mean the one near the shrine?
うん。
Yep. At the end of the day, we gather in my room to discuss our findings. It has to be my place. Konatsu won't let guys in her room, of course. And we always feel like we're imposing when we go to Tadayasu's house, not that he understands why.
夕日、卑猥な雑誌はちゃんと奥にしまっておいてよ。恥ずかしいな。
Keep your porn mags out of sight. Seriously, it's embarrassing.
しまってあるよ、適当言うな。
Hid them already. Stop lying.
しまってあるの？
You hid them?
なあ、墓穴掘ったね、夕日。
Way to dig your own grave, man. You're the one with the shovel.
話を元に戻します。
Back on topic. We could
足
only
跡をた
track
どれた
her
のは竹林までだ。 そ
as
の
far as
先
the
はわから
bamboo
なかっ
grove. You don't know where she went after that.
その先って言っても、もうリツの家は目と鼻の先なんだけどね。
Of course, it's only 5 minutes from there to her house.
すごいじゃない。一日でよくそこまでわかったね。
Pretty good for one day's work.
た。自分でも結構驚いてる。
Yeah, I'm surprised we got this far. After we said goodbye to the ladies at the station, our investigation suddenly picked up steam, and by nightfall we learned Ritsu visited several stores near the station before heading
でも
home.
不思議だよね。あの竹林に入ったら、あとは住宅地方面に出るしかないはずなんだけど。
It doesn't make sense. There's nothing but Ritsu's neighborhood after the bamboo grove. Did you check the grove?
そっちでは目撃されてなかったんだよな。
We know she wasn't seen there.
竹林に入ったのは確かなの？
Are you sure she made it that
手
far?
前の飲み屋通りで聞けた。一昨日の夜に入っていくのを見たって人が何人かいる。
We checked with the bars on the street before someone saw her heading into the grove that night.
リツはいつもあそこを通って帰るから、日にちを間違えてるって可能性もないわけじゃないけど、ね。
Ritsu always takes that route home, but so the guy might have confused it for another day, but I doubt it.
いつも見かけるのに昨日は見なかったんで不思議に思ってたって言うんだから確かなんじゃね？
He said he was surprised she didn't come by yesterday, so I think it's a pretty safe bet he was right.
うん。
Yeah.
竹林の中は調べなかったの？
Obvious question, did you search the grove?
いや、それが。
Well, no, we bitched out. We tried, of
あ
course.
そこ、田中のじいさんの土地だろ？
That's old Tanaka's land.
あの雷じじい。
Oh no, it's a lightning geezer. Natsu grimaces, and I don't blame her. Back when we were small, the four of us would often venture into the bamboo grove. The towering stalks and leafy canopy made it seem like another world. The perfect spot for children to play. But each time we were turned back by old Tanaka, aka the Lightning Emperor. But old Tanaka agreed some decades back to allow foot traffic through his land, a concession that came only after much strife with the townsfolk. Henceforth known as the First Lightning War, he still stubbornly refuses to let kids come and play. Any intruders are treated to the power of his legendary thunderclap voice. A mighty roar is said to have slain 14 wild dogs at once, and taking advantage of our numbers, We divided our forces and waged a guerrilla war against him, hoping to wear the old man down. But thanks to the intervention of his neighbors, damn appeasers, we were forced to withdraw with only 8 sweet potatoes to show for our efforts, and thus ended the Second Lightning Emperor War. Ever since, we've kept our distance from old Tanaka. I hear he's calmed down a lot recently, though. Maybe his age is starting to catch up with him?
たまたま昨日は元気だったらしくてな。
He was in awfully high spirits yesterday.
しかもつい最近竹林を荒らした連中がいるらしくて、こっちを見るなり僕らを犯人だと決めつけて怒鳴り同士でさ。
Apparently someone's been messing with his
全く
damn
話にならなかったね。
He was screaming at us like we're the ones who did it. We're lucky we got out
笑い
alive.
事じゃないでしょう。
Not funny. I couldn't agree more.
とにかくあそこはじいさんの留守を狙ってまた調べてみるさ。でないと調査が進まないしな。
Anyway, we'll wait until he's away to search the grove. That's the only way we'll learn anything. In other words, you're gonna spend like 3 days doing nothing because you don't want to search the grove while the guy's around, dumbass. These guys don't even know the basics for looking for someone. How'd they manage to figure out she got here? It's a mystery to me. As the number one important thing is time, and time. Yet I mentioned time. It's like literally 9 out of the top 10 things that are most important when you're looking for a missing person. Literally, like all you have is you have to go quickly. You need to find them ideally in the first 24 hours. Like, you can't just be fucking around and be like, I guess we wait a week or whatever. See if this guy leaves for a trip or something. While we're out of school, you know, he's probably some retired old geezer, so he never has to go anywhere. But if we're lucky, next month maybe, we'll have a chance to search for my friend's corpse, see if she's actually dead or something. Great job, man.
それでお前の方はどうだったん
What
だ。
about your end?
リツの友達を片っ端から当たってみたんだけど。
So I went around to all of Ritz's friends, but... Natsu's expression fills in the rest. But we're compelled to hear her out all the same.
けど
成果ゼロ。おととい忠康と別れた後のリツを見た人は誰もいなかった。
Nothing.
誰それと駆け落ちでもしたんじゃないかとか、いい加減な噂はいろいろ拾ったけどね。
No one saw her after she and Tadayasu split up. I did hear an awful lot of rumors about her eloping
駆け
though.
落ちの相手は誰か特定の男
With who? Someone in particular?
言う人によってバラバラ。ちなみにあんたやユウヒも候補者のうち。
Depends on who you ask. You and Yuhi are in the running, by the way.
俺たちは別に失踪してないん
But
だ
we
が。
haven't disappeared?
一方だけが姿を消す駆け落ちってそれはつまり拉致監禁って言わないかな。ユウヒちょっと押し入れ開けてみていい？
If only one of the lovebirds disappeared, that must mean the other's holding her prisoner. Mind if I take a look in your closet?
どうもお前との友情を清算して損失額を支払わせる時が来たらしい
I
な。
think it's time for me to collect on all those years of betrayed
後
friendship.
にしなさい。それと、これも聞いた噂のうちなんだけど、
Do it later. There's another rumor going around.
Hmm?
Yeah?
ちょっと、良くない噂が。
It's not something I want to repeat.
まあリツはやることなすこと万事が派手めだったからね。
Well, Ritsu's never been much for blending in. Oh, congratulations, my friend.
悪く言うやつは昔からいたろ。今さらそんなもん気にしたって仕方がない。
They've always been people talking shit about her. No point worrying about her now. That's just what happens when you stand out from the crowd. It used to make me mad, but Ritsu always laughs it off, saying it comes with the territory when you're a celebrity. Eventually, I stopped caring what other people said about her. Of course, ignoring the rumor mongers didn't make them go away. Quite the opposite, in fact.
そうじゃなくて、リツの噂じゃなくて、
It's not about Ritsu.
なんだよ。
Then what?
リツに関係あるかもしれない悪い噂。最
But it
近、
might have something to do with
人が
her.
いなくなってそれっきりってこと多いでしょ。
You know how the rate of disappearances has been increasing?
順調な増加傾向にあるね。
It's going up nice and smooth, yeah?
順調ってことはないだろ
Don't put it like that. Not that he's
その
wrong.
理由が、六原の奴隷貿易なんじゃないかって噂する人が多いの。
Some people were saying, maybe Rokuhara is kidnapping people to sell as slaves? Doesn't sound impossible. It is the right time period. Although wasn't that like more Korea than Japan? Still, possible.
だから子供とか 見た目のいい若い女の子とかがよくいなくなるんだって。本当かどうかはわからないけど。
Mostly children and young women who've gone missing. I don't know if that's true. But people say they sell better on the continent. Konatsu falls silent at that, and no one picks up after her. Rokuhara trading in slaves, easily dismissed as baseless rumor. I thought that was more something that the Japanese government did to Chinese and Korean more than their own country's people? I don't think they didn't. Pretty sure they did that to their own country's people too, right? I don't remember. My memory is pretty bad sometimes. It's the sort of thing people who have a bone to pick with Rokuhara would say, and everyone in the city has a bone to pick with Rokuhara. Yeah. Also, there's this. Exactly what our protagonist is thinking. It's something everyone who hates the government would say, and everyone fucking hates the government, so... bad rumors about them are likely to crop up even if they're completely false. It's probably just bias speaking. However, the idea of a Rokuhara slave trade, something about it feels horribly right.
ありえない話じゃないね。
It's possible.
忠康。
Tadayasu.
なるほど。それなら拉致犯が家に連絡を入れてこないことも不思議じゃなくなる。利益は被害者の家族ではなく購入者から得ればいいわけだから。
It explains why kidnappers never contact the families. Their profit comes from selling them overseas. It also explains why the government is freeing prisoners who are accused of murder.
ちょっと！
Hey.
忠康！
Tadayasu.
怒らないで聞いてほしいな。
Calm down and listen.
時間の無駄だよ。
We're wasting time. Tadayasu's voice is cold, a bucket of freezing water to douse the flames of our anger.
狙われるのは女子供。それも合理的だね。捕獲に要する手間が少ない上、運ぶのも比較的楽だ。
So it's mostly...
青年男性と違って労働力としては期待できないけれど。
Because dialogue's really long sometimes. It's mostly young women and children. That makes sense too. They're easier to kidnap, easier to carry, and they can't be sold as slave labor like adult men can.
そういう役割を求められる奴隷ではないのだろうね。
But that's probably not what their buyers are expecting from them anyway. Yeah, I guess it could actually be that.
奴隷市場となるとどこになるかな。上海か香港かマカオか。その先はもうわからないな。中南米かもしれないし、大陸の奥地かもしれない。
Shanghai, Hong Kong, Macau. After that, it's anybody's guess. They might be taken to South America for all we know, or vanish into the depths of Central Asia. I want to stop him, but I can't. I know to do so would be like sticking a lid on a can of garbage. The garbage doesn't disappear just because you can't smell it. Can it be true? Can something so foul, so rotten, truly have befallen Ritsu? It's possible. Yep.
もしよ。
If only
もし
if that
本当
happened.
にそんなことがあったとして、
What do we do?
どうすればいいの？
What do we do?
とりあえずは事実を調べることだよ。
First, we need to know the truth. But if that's what happens, what are you gonna do? The answer is probably nothing. But we're the protagonist of a series, so who knows? We're the protagonist of a story, who knows? We might do something cool.
まだ律がどうなったか、実際のところは何も分か
We
ってい
still
ない
haven't
ん
learned
だ。
what really happened.
まずはその確認が第一。
That's the first step.
憶測で騒ぎ立てても相手にされないよ。
No one will believe us if we start shouting about Rokuhara without any proof. That's no answer, but of course we all know
つ
that.
まりは律の足取り調査の続行だな。
So we keep tracing Ritsu's movements.
そうだね。
Yeah. I decide to back Tadayasu's play, and he nods in agreement. Konatsu says nothing. I know we're all thinking the same thing. We can't go against Rokuhara, no one can.
小夏、
Konatsu?
他には何かないのかな。
Anything else?
あ、うん。
Yeah,
そういえばもう一つ気になる
I heard one
話
more
が。
thing.
なんだ？
Oh, what's
今
that?
朝のことなんだけど、学校に来る途中で怪しい人を見たって。
This morning, one of Ritsu's friends saw a suspicious-looking man on the way to school.
怪しい人？
Suspicious looking?
忠康くらいか。
You mean like Tadayasu?
ユウヒ、ちゃんと冗談めかして言ってよ。真顔で言ってどうするの
Hey,
さ。
try a lighter tone when you're joking. You sound so serious.
俺は真面目だが。冗談言ってる場合じゃないだろ。
But I am serious. You think I'd crack a joke right now?
そうね。
Let's see.
話を聞く限りだと、どうも4忠康くらいの怪しさみたい。
You asked to look at least 4 times as suspicious as Tadayasu.
相当だな。
会話の円滑な進行のためにひとまず黙っておくけど、僕が納得していないという事実は議事録に残しておくからね。
Well, I'll remain silent for the sake of consensus. I would like my strenuous objection to be noted in the minutes. Anyway, what was he like? Well, she
なんだかすごく暗い感じの。
said he was really, really dark. Dark?
暗黒大将軍か暗闇の星の暗闇星人かってくらいに黒いオーラが滲んでる人で。
Like the great general of darkness, she said, or maybe like a darkling from the planet Dark. That's how Black Zora felt.
あまり聞かない人物評だね。
I can't tell if she's describing a black person. Or this guy, it just seems very evil. I'm like, well, would they humorously, like, would they use that humor and just be like, yeah, this guy's so dark, he's like from the planet Dark. Would they use that to describe a person to be funny? Or would they be, like, serious about that?
途方もなく景気の悪い目つきをしながら学校の周りを徘徊していたんだとか。
He was wandering around near the school with an unbearably gloomy expression on his face.
それは怪しいな。
Does sound pretty shady. I fold my arms to consider this new revelation.
関係
You think he might have something to do with?
さっきの噂と結びつければ、拉致の実行犯が次の獲物を狙っているとも考えられるね。
Assuming the rumors you heard are true, it's possible the kidnapper is looking for new targets. It might just be the guy that was released recently. It might be someone unrelated. We don't have a lot of evidence.
じゃあそいつを捕まえれば。
So if we catch
律
him,
にたどり着ける可能性はある。可能性はね。現段階では何もかも推測だよ。
he might lead us to Ritsu, assuming it's true. Right now, all we've got is speculation.
それは分かってるが。
I know that. But I finally feel like we have a real lead, even if it may not take us into the light. That is the most shoestring lead I've ever seen. Damn, dude. Ritsu didn't return home tonight either. My impatience is building, and I never knew how hard it would be to have a close friend suddenly vanish. Even sleep feels like a total waste of time.
夜に調査なんてやるだけ無駄だよ。鎌倉大番に捕まりでもしたら何もできなくなる。落ち着いて、夕日。
We won't find anything at night. We'll just get ourselves caught by the watch, and that'll be the end of that. Calm down. I know, but Ritsu, you're okay, right? You're fooling around somewhere, right? Hurry back. I'll forgive you, I swear. Or did those Rokuhara bastards really take you? I can't tell if this guy's serious or not. Half the time he's bitching out about stupid stuff and taking his sweet time, goofing off, when he's supposedly like trying to look for his friend who might be dead or in serious trouble. Like, is this guy actually serious? He's saying serious stuff, but the way he's acting half the time seems like he's not really serious about finding her. Like, even assuming he doesn't believe in the fortune teller, he doesn't ask her to keep an eye out or anything like that. He's just like, alright, bye. Like, it's a miracle he got information in the first place. It seems like he'd just tell people, oh, it's no big deal. You seen them? It's no big deal. What have you been up to? And then talks for 10 minutes and never asks a question. They did it all. What are you gonna do? Shit. That night, I dream of doing battle with a giant darkling from the planet Dark. I mean, it's a story. We can assume the suspicious person is related to the disappearance, but ordinarily you don't have a reason to connect these. Time rolls on, not giving two shits about my worries. We still have school, and that means class. AKA, not looking for someone who's missing. This is the last place I want to be sitting, but for us to cut now will only make things worse. It's not like we can use our investigation as an excuse. What do you mean you can't? I don't want to cause trouble, not for Konatsu's parents who were kind enough to look after me, an orphan, even though I'm only a distant relation. Why wouldn't you? You're like, my friend's missing. I need to check the... I'm trying to find them, and you guys know the cops are useless. Everyone hates the government so much and knows they're fucking useless. I'm pretty sure your parents would just be like... yeah, fuck it, go look for them. If they're genuinely missing, like, maybe... It's more important than being in school for 2 days. But, whatever. Alright. Again, hard to tell. This guy seems so non-committal to finding his friend. No one's even attempting to organize a search party for someone who's, like, been missing a couple days. And they think she's genuinely missing. Like, I don't know if it's just her friends, or if her parents aren't worried, maybe. But, like, if you present that evidence to your parents, and you're like, yo, this is, like, really sketchy. Maybe their parents would do something. Not like we've actually seen her parents have any dialogue. So we don't know if they're actually unconcerned. We just have his impressions. If I'd been raised by my real parents, would I have felt free to ask them for help now? The thought crossed my mind, but it carries no weight. I don't even remember their faces. All I know is what I was told. They were killed in an accident. All I can do is wait for the closing bell to ring. There's no way I can pay attention to the class like this, but I kind of feel bad for ignoring Suzukawa. He's probably just as frustrated as we are.
歴史を古代、中世、近世、近代、現代のように区分けすることを時代区分という。
History is divided into 5 periods: classical, medieval, early modern, modern, and contemporary. Is it now? Okay.
前回まで学んでいたのが近代。今日から現代に入るが。
Last class we finished up to modern. Today we'll begin contemporary history, but first.
近代、現代の区分けには諸説ある。その一つは新型剣の誕生をもって現代の始まりとするものだ。
There are several opinions as to where to place the divide between modern and contemporary. One of these holds that the contemporary period began with the birth of a new kind of tsurugi.
上古の時代から今に至るまで、剣は常に最強の兵器だった。着用した人間の身体能力を飛躍的に向上させ、空を自在に駆けさせる。これに勝る武器は未だない。
Since the dawn of history, tsurugi have been mankind's ultimate weapon. The warrior who wields one gains superhuman strength and speed, even the ability to fly. There is no greater power. Those are their power armor suits. When does this guy's history start? Have people unironically always had power armored suits? And machine guns and katanas? That's a curious assertion.
陸上では戦車、空では飛行艦が有力な兵器として注目されているが、いずれも単純な戦闘力ではまだまだ剣に及ばないというのが実情だ。
While tanks and airships have many advantages, neither are capable of matching tsurugi in pure combat effectiveness.
HVAP をはじめ、剣の撃墜を目指した兵器の研究もされている。我が国でも戦時中、レールガン計画などが一時期脚光を浴びたな。しかし実用に達した例はほとんどない。
There have of course been attempts to develop anti-tsurugi weapons. For example, the HVAP, high-velocity armor-piercing shell, has been much touted of late, and during the war a lot of money went into developing a practical railgun. However, these have had little success.
剣を打倒できる兵器はなく、剣に打倒されない兵器もなし。そのつもりになれば、剣を使う者は一人で完全武装の歩兵100人を駆逐することができる。
Tsurugi is all but invincible. The unchallenged king of the battlefield, should he so desire, the wielder of a tsurugi can slaughter 100 fully armed infantrymen with ease.
いや、それどころか、中には町をただ一人で壊滅させてしまう者さえいるようだ。
And that's the least of what they can do. There's even tsurugi capable of destroying entire cities.
その種の伝説ならどこの国にもあるが、こんな話を昔のおとぎ話ではなく、現実的な脅威として受け止めなくてはならない我々大和国民は、残念ながら非常に不運だな。
We of Yamato know them as an imminent, inescapable reality. We are, I'm afraid to say, extraordinarily unlucky. Few students sitting by the window look up to the sky as if anticipating a sudden spat of rain or perhaps something else. Thankfully, there's nothing there, nothing silver.
剣はそれだけの力を持っている。その剣の使い手を武者という。
The warriors who wield them are called musha.
近代以前、武者は一握りの上級士族だけに限られていたが、 高野、それはなぜだ？
From ancient times up through the modern period, only members of high-ranking warrior houses could become Musha. Takano, why was this?
剣が貴重品だったからです。
Because tsurugi are very valuable.
なぜ貴重品だった？
And why are they so valuable?
鍛冶師一人につき一つしか作れなかったからです。
Because a blacksmith could only make one tsurugi.
そうだ。剣鍛冶は生涯一打ち。なぜなら、剣を完成させるには、鍛冶師が自分の神魂を鎧に打ち込まなくてはならない。これを芯金を通すという。
Correct. A smith can create only one tsurugi. This is because the smith must forge his own body and soul into the armor. The result of this process is known as shingane, and it is what forms the tsurugi's core.
そうすることで初めて、剣は最強の武器としての力を得、その力を使い手の意志に応じて制御するための頭脳も備える。芯金を通さなければ、ただの上出来な鎧だ。
Only with true shingane does a tsurugi require the strength to surpass all other weapons and the intelligence needed to answer its master's will. Without shingane, it's merely a fine suit of armor.
つまり、剣を一両作るには、鍛冶師が命を一つ捧げなくてはならないわけだ。貴重品なのは当然だな。
It costs the life of a smith. It's no wonder they were prized so highly.
先生!
Mr. Suzukawa.
どうした、吉田?
What is it?
剣を作った鍛冶師は死ぬんですか?
Does the smith die? I believe that's what he said, but he's gonna elaborate on exactly what happens.
難しい質問だな。鍛冶師の神魂は剣の OS として残るわけだから、生きているという見方もできる。
The smith's soul becomes the mind of Tsurugi, the operating system, if you will, so it can be said that he lives on in some form.
だがそれはあくまで剣の部品としての精神というか精神のようなものだ。
However,
人間らしさはほぼなくしている。
that consciousness is only
使
a
用者
part
の
of the
命令に
Tsurugi.
応えるだけで自発的行動はしない。
With the greater part of the smith's humanity lost in the forging, it only obeys its master's orders and cannot act of its own volition.
そうではない剣がかつてあったという人もいるが、伝説の彼方の話だ。現代には残っていないだろう。
Some say there were once Tsurugi with wills of their own, but these are stories from long ago, and it's doubtful whether any such Tsurugi remain to this day. An interesting pitch. A suit of armor, perhaps half mad? Flying around, driving more people to insanity without anyone inside it? That could be a pitch. Interesting hints of what's going on when they make their super armor. And a pitch to, who's Tsurugi? Our protagonist might end up piloting? Ooh. He's probably getting a legendary suit of armor, and I mean, we got a name in the title. I'm just saying. We might know which smith made the suit, the Tsurugi we might be encountering or facing.
さて、そういうわけで近代まで武者は非常に数少なかった。
Let's move on. So, for the reasons just mentioned, there were very few Musha before the modern age. This was true all over the world.
世界共通のこの事情が劇的に変化するのは、国記2549年、ハプスブルクの兵器メーカー、ゼグラー社が世界で初めて鍛冶師の命を消費せずに剣を完成させた時のことだ。
When the Segler Corporation, Habsburg weapons manufacturer, succeeded in creating a tsurugi without sacrificing the life of a smith. Alright. It's 2549 by the imperial calendar, right?
これに先立つ2544年。何があったか知っているもの。
Can we not use the imperial calendar? Who knows what significant event happened 5 years prior in 2544?
はい。
Here. Inagi?
ブリテンのフォレット教授が研究していたミラー法によるクローン技術開発が頓挫。研究成果をゼグラー社に売却しました。
Britain's Dr. Follett abandoned his research into human cloning and sold the results to the Segler Corporation.
成果とは具体的に
And what were those results?
コピーボディの完成です。ただこれは免疫問題を克服できなかったため、期待されていた医療面での有効活用は不可能と断定されました。
He succeeded in cloning human bodies, but was unable to solve the problem of hosts rejecting cloned organs. Hence, his technology could not be applied to medicine as he hoped. Ah, but they're saying you can use a clone and sacrifice the clone smith. I see. You can sacrifice the clone instead of a person to make the tsurugi.
そう。だがゼグラー社のアルブリヒト博士はこの技術を剣の製造工程に転用することを思いついたわけだ。
Correct. Segler's Dr. Albrecht, however, thought to study full its technology to the creation, or apply it to the creation of tsurugi.
剣は能力の源泉とするため、そして能力を制御する知能とするために、鍛冶師自身の心身を必要とする。
The smith's sacrifice gives the tsurugi its power as well as the thinking processes needed to control that power. Both are required for it to function.
それを博士は前者をコピーボディ、後者を機械式の CPU とプログラムで代用することに成功。
Dr. Albrecht was able to fill the first requirement by using cloned human bodies, and the second with the addition of a computer module.
量産可能な全く新しい剣を誕生させた。
And thus mass-produced tsurugi were born. Their computation technology is leagues ahead of our own, goddamn.
この新型の剣は性能面では旧来の剣に大きく劣ったが、
Compared to traditional tsurugi, these mass-produced models are nowhere near as powerful.
例えば旧型の剣でも上物に属するものは使用者に装甲されていない状態でも指示を受けて独立行動する能力を有する。この時の形状は移動に役立つ馬が最も多い。
For example, some of the finest tsurugi can carry out orders even while separated from their musha. These tsurugi often take forms that are conducive to travel. Horses are particularly common.
新型の剣にこんな真似は無理だ。しかし、それでも十分な能力を発揮したし、
Mass-produced tsurugi lack such versatility. That said, their strength is still formidable.
何よりも貴重な技術者である鍛冶師を消費せずに済むことが各国の軍事関係者をして共闘させた。
And they don't demand the sacrifice of a skilled craftsman. It was this, most of all, that captivated the world's militaries.
かくして世界中の国々は争ってこの新兵器を採用。技術を取り入れ、量産し、改良を重ねた。
An arms race began, followed by 2 world wars and numerous lesser conflicts. These new tsurugi were deployed in great number, and countless battles were tested, modified, and improved. And the best they came up with was a katana.
今では性能においても旧型に迫るところまで来ているというものも多い。レーサークルスなどという派生まで登場した。
Some say mass-produced tsurugi are beginning to rival the abilities of their predecessors. In addition, there are now offshoots such as racing cruxes.
一方、新型の剣の普及に反比例して、旧型の剣は急速に作られなくなり、まあ当たり前だな。
The production of traditional tsurugi, on the other hand, swiftly declined as mass-produced tsurugi became more common. This should come as no surprise. All you see is Reinhardt with an SS paint job now? Yeah. Surely a hammer would be pretty effective, considering tsurugi are basically just all suits of plate armor. Oh, actually be a good weapon for fighting tsurugi. Far less skill required. If you're fighting shit tons of full plate knives, you'd have to be a moron to run anything other than a rocket hammer. Well, you can fly, but your precision's gonna go to shit when you're flying. Because the other person can fly too. And hammers are like one of a good mace is like super effective. It's just a huge pain to try and get through a knight's armor, right? He has a shield though, exactly. He's set. The samurai guys didn't have shields. If they had proper shields, you'd be fucking set, man. In fact, that makes me question. If this guy's talking about global history, why on earth? Crusaders are quite old too, yeah. If he's talking about modern plate armor, I don't know why you'd have... I mean, I know it's Japan, and they'd totally... It's Japan, and we should suspend our disbelief to make power-armed samurai real. So, this is not a complaint against the story. But realistically, if it's like you can mass produce suits of super souped up power armor, I don't see katana being a very effective weapon against regular plate armor. I mean, even actual swords are not that great against plate armor. American Tsurugi are just space marines. A chainsaw is also not effective against armor. Or flesh, for that matter. I mean, it does damage, but it's not a great killing weapon. Yeah, I'm like, shouldn't a shield basically negates like 90% of what you're doing with the katana, especially if you're like aiming for joints? Like, man, a shield made of the same armor as the Tsurugi's armor would basically completely shut down half that shit. And then of course if you have a mace or something, either as a sidearm or a main weapon, then you just smash through. You don't need to hit a joint, you just hit their arm. You just hit their arm until it stops, or their body until it stops working. A bit brute force, but that's how it works, right? Getting joints is hard. Hitting them in general is a little bit easier. But maybe there's a reason they can't use blunt force. Who knows? It's not important. Let's just enjoy the power armored samurai, okay?
技術が散逸して、現在ではもうドワーフの鍛冶師の中でも限られたものの間にしか鍛造法が伝わっていないと言われる。
Alright, much knowledge was lost. Today it's only a handful of dwarven clans still pass down the ancient methods.
今、戦場の主役は新型の剣だ。
Today,
旧型の剣を使うのは由緒ある家系出身の将校くらいしかいない。
warfare is waged primarily by mass-produced tsurugi. Only officers from distinguished families have the privilege of wielding traditional tsurugi.
ここで少し用語の整理をしておこう。ちゃんと
Let's
聞い
review
とけ。
terminology, shall we?
赤点を取りたいならいいけどな。
Make sure you got this down. Well, unless you don't mind failing. That was close. I was about to pass out.
長能を持つ鎧を剣。使う侍を武者という。これはいいな。
Tsurugi are
剣
suits
は
of
2種類。新型と旧型があり、
possessing supernatural
ヤマトでは
powers.
前者を数打ち、後者を真打ちと一般に言う。
You all have this much memorized, I hope. Yeah, that one's pretty easy. Now, there are two types of tsurugi, mass-produced and traditional. In Yamato, the former are called kazuchi, and the latter shinuchi. Okay.
西洋ではレッドクルスとブラッドクルスなんて呼び方をするな。
In the West, they are red cruxes and blood cruxes. Cruxes?
そして武者は軍事専門用語では竜騎兵と呼ぶわけだが、狭い意味では前者を真打ちの使い手、後者を数打ちの使い手という意味で用いるので注意するように。
More specifically, so in the military, musha are known as dragoons. More specifically, a musha is the pilot of a shinuchi, while a dragoon is the pilot of a kazuchi. Be careful not to mix them up. So, shinuchi, as it is stated, are the traditional kinds. So, you're a warrior if you're piloting a shinuchi, and a dragoon if you're piloting the mass-produced stuff. It's precise German engineering with crusaders. That's why Germany is so successful. That's right. Just copy-paste Reinhardt from Overwatch 40 times. That's how World War I went. Remember, the Tsurugi are massively overpowered, so they don't have trenches. Why have trenches when everyone's wearing power armor and are immune to bullets? Mass-produced kazuchi. Kazuuchi. Dragoon. Traditional shinuchi. Musha. Alright. Piece of cake.
竜騎兵。
Dragoon. Musha. I remember when those words were synonymous with hero. Musha were the defenders of peace and justice, the shields of the innocent and powerless, stronger than anyone yet bound by the strictest of moral codes. All boys worshipped Musha and dreamt of joining their ranks. I was no different. It all changed, however. Now, Musha means Rokuhara.
話を近代と現代の区分に戻すぞ。つまり竜騎兵の登場をもって現代の皮切りとする説があるわけだが、その理由はわかるか？大川。
The rise of dragoons is often used to mark the beginning of the contemporary age. Okawa, why is this?
わかりません。
Dunno!
元気があってよろしい。立ってろ。じゃあ、剣博士の稲木。
Alright, let's ask our resident Tsurugi expert, Inagi.
それまで権力者の占有物だった最強兵器が市民階級の手にも渡るようになったからです。
Before, Tsurugi were monopolized by those in power, but now the ultimate weapon was available even to regular citizens. That easy?
そうだ。新技術の誕生によって剣の数量が爆発的に増え、
Correct, with the birth of this new technology, the production of Tsurugi increased dramatically.
といっても重量を作るだけで国家予算レベルの検討が必要になる依然として希少な品であることに変わりはないんだがな。
Of course, this is only relatively speaking.
あくまでそれ以前との比較の話だ。
To create even 10 kazuichi requires the resources of a nation, so they remain a valuable commodity. This guy says, to make even 10, you need to have the wealth and the economic power and manufacturing power of Japan in the 20th century. Interesting. I assume because you refer to your own country, right? Or another powerful country. Still, if you require that many resources, how many does this country actually have of kazuichi? The battle we saw previously had like 7 die in it. 8 if you include the lone guy in the 1v1. That's gotta be like a massive investment. That's gotta be like a huge investment if it's actually that expensive. Right? Realistically, right? Otherwise, a company could make them, right? Otherwise, it'd be a small company that could make them, right? Or like a mid-sized company, right? Like a car manufacturer could make them independently, or like anything else. Must be like super expensive. Although that doesn't quite make sense. If they're fighting entire wars with them, then they can only afford like 50. That wouldn't make too much sense. I'm gonna assume this is a slight exaggeration on the part of the teachers.
剣の数量が増えると使い手を士族階級だけで賄うわけにもいかなくなった。足りない分はどうする？そう、平民だ。
The warrior class alone was unable to meet the new demand for Tsurugi pilots. How was the military to make up the difference? Commoners. Okay. There's a decent number of samurai in Japan. Or there were. If the demand's that high... If the demand's that high and they can produce enough to actually put commoners in suits... Because presumably, if the samurai dies, the suit's also scrapped, right? That means they have a decent number. I think he exaggerated the numbers. That confirms it. If the best a country can do is make 10, then and they actually need more than just like the samurai class, there's no way those are accurate. I can only assume that it's just like moderately expensive to make one. Like maybe, I don't know, the price of like a military vehicle, a light military vehicle. At that.
それまで軍においては脇役でしかなかった平民層出身者が剣を与えられ、竜騎兵部隊を構成していく。そうして力を持てば当然発言力も増す。
Only had an auxiliary role in the military, were given Tsurugi and made dragoons. As their power increased, so did their political clout.
大和国軍における竜騎兵部隊の誕生が光隆2年。選挙法から財産制限が撤廃されたのが光隆10年。国旗2569年。この間、わずか8年というのは偶然でも何でもない。
Yamato's first unit of dragoons was formed in the second year of Koryu. and property requirements for voting were abolished in the 10th, it is no coincidence this change occurred only 8 years after farmers were given tsurugi.
銃が民主主義を生んだという言葉があるが、ならば育て上げたのは新型剣というわけだ。竜騎兵の登場をもって現代とするのはこの考え方に由来する。
It said the gun birthed democracy, in which case the kazuuchi is what raised it to adulthood. This is the reason many scholars use the advent of dragoons to mark the turning of an age. Excalibur is power armor made by the Lady of the Lake. Wouldn't it just be an anti-Tsurugi sword? Pretty grim if you ask me. I don't like to think that history is shaped by the development of weapons, so I can see why people do think that way. If that's true, I suppose the next age will begin with another new weapon. I wonder what it'll be. On second thought, I don't want to know.
さて、では現代史だが、次回にするか。
Now then, contemporary history, I suppose. We'll start on that next time.
今日は概略だけ説明して終わろう。
For today, I leave you with a brief overview. So how many times can they use the history class as an exposition dump before it gets old? I mean, it's fun to theorize and see what's going on here. Fantasize about this new setting, which is quite interesting. Avalon made Arthur invulnerable, so power armor. Let's see. Avalon being power armor makes sense. I'll leave you with a brief overview. Alright. Our last class today. After cleanup, we'll finally be able to look for Ritsu.
民主主義、あるいは民
Didn't
族
they have
主義の
history
成長
before
は
lunch last time?
大国の植民地支配に対する非支配地域の反発を生み、各地で抵抗運動が盛んになる。
Didn't... Hold up, that doesn't follow. This history doesn't make sense. The Western powers grew even more imperialistic, leading to frequent conflicts with native peoples who resented the occupation of their land. Wouldn't you be, like, massively disadvantaged now? As now you have, like, 500 Tsurugi. And they can't even manufacture Tsurugi, so they have, like, 1 or 2 smiths who managed to figure out how to make what? Like they have, like, 2 or 3 sets of Tsurugi, and you have, like, 500. You have, like, a unit of Tsurugi or something like that, just casually hanging out. It seems like that wouldn't... That would be, like, a really one-sided conflict.
これを受ける格好で、ヤマトは人種差別思想の撤廃を国際社会に訴え、アジアの盟主としての地位を確立しようと図ったが、大英連邦をはじめ白人諸国の反発を買う。
Seeing this, Yamato first sought a diplomatic solution, petitioning the international community for repudiation of the racist philosophies that enabled imperialist expansion. Yamato hoped in this to position itself as leader of a pan-Asian alliance. However, this earned the ire of the white supremacist nations led by Great Britain. An interesting alternate history. We'll go with an interesting alternate history. They're like, we're not imperialists like everyone else. We're the nice guys. The good guys. The only good guys. Interesting. Ignoring the fact that you're interesting revisionism.
ロシアの南下はワロ戦争によっても結局は止められず、ヤマトはこれに対抗する形で大陸進出を推進。
Our early victories against Russia were ultimately insufficient to deter its southward expansion. Yamato's next step was to move troops into Han, so northern China.
このことが大英連邦をさらに警戒させ、大戦へとつながっていく。
This further antagonized Britain, setting the stage for the Second World War.
国内では竜騎兵の誕生により、武者統括の組織であった陸 F が勢力を拡大。対戦突入に先立って、陸軍、海軍と並ぶ国軍組織を形成。竜軍と称して首都圏を統括した。
The rise of dragoons allowed for the Rikuei-fu, the organization that governed Yamato's Musha, greatly expanded its power and authority. And with war approaching, they formed a new branch of the military called the Dragon Army. In the name of national defense, assumed authority over the capital. Okay.
六原幕府の誕生だ。
Thus, the Rokuhara shogunate was born. Alright.
そして大戦。欧州、アジア、その他の地域でも戦争の火蓋が切って落とされた。
The war began shortly
大和軍は
thereafter.
大陸と南洋へ進出し、序盤は連戦連勝。アジア統一も間近かと思われた。
With nations the world over taking part, Japan advanced west and south, not east, notably. Winning victory after victory until the dream of a unified Asia seemed all but certain.
が、大英連邦は新大陸駐留軍を太平洋方面へ向け、大和軍を迎撃させた。
But then Great Britain
さら
deployed
に
its
は
North
国際
American
連盟を
garrison
動かし、
to check Yamato's advance. They also manipulated the League of Nations
国際
into...
東亜共栄連盟は
a brief point.
国家間問題の平和的な解決を目的として作られた組織だが、実質大英連邦とその衛星国家による共産会でしかないのは皆も知っている通りだ。
A brief point. As I'm sure you all know, while the League of Nations nominally exists to resolve international disputes peacefully, in reality it's little more than a partition forum for the British Empire and its satellite states.
大英連邦は連盟の決議を得て UNF を編成。
Anyway,
戦力
Britain
の
obtained
中心
permission
は
from the League.
あくまでも自前の新大陸軍で、そう増強されたわけでもないが、これにより補給の不安が解消されたことの意味は大きい。
Although they did not receive significant reinforcements, the bulk of the army was still made up of troops pulled from North America. This alliance allowed Britain to fight with virtually unlimited supplies, an enormous advantage. So, I like how they're like... I like his... for someone who hates the Rokuhara, he's really, spouting a lot of Rokuharan propaganda here. Very interesting. He's like 180 in the last 2 days. The way he's phrasing all of this. Like, wait a minute. Northern China is occupied by the Japanese. And the Russians move in. Starting a conflict. You're like, okay. But it's like, okay. And they conquer all of Asia. And they're like, but the best part is, 2 seconds before that, we conquered all of Asia, they were like, it's completely wrong to, look, okay. Yamato sought a diplomatic solution petitioning the community for repudiation against racist philosophies that enabled imperialist expansion. You mean like conquering Korea and China? Right? It hoped to position itself as the leader of a pan-Asian alliance. But then we go down to this and it's like, our victories against Russia were insufficient to deter its southward expansion. Oh, Yamato's step was to move troops into Han. Wait a minute. They're like being racist and enabling racist imperialist expansion equals bad. Therefore, we invade China. Come again? We want to position ourselves as a leader of a Pan-Asian alliance. But because the international community did not approve of this, we decided to just invade them instead. Come again? The Han region of China, right? I do not follow this lie. It's like, you say they hoped to. It's more like they made a motion to, but are like everyone else here, right? Right? That's how it reads to me. Imperialism is wrong, so we'll do our own imperialism? Alright. That's a thing. The phrasing, that's why I'm saying his phrasing's weird. He's phrasing it in a way that makes the Rokuhara, who he presumably hates, he's phrasing it in a way that makes them look like peace-loving good guys, which doesn't follow. Because he expressed for the first time that he freaking hates the Rokuhara. So he's not even being neutral. He's being like actively pro-Rokuharan. Which is kind of weird. Like, he could be neutral and be like, he can be neutral and say, like, they petitioned to them. He doesn't, like, phrase it in a way that makes it neutral. He doesn't say, like, they made, like, overtures suggesting that they may not be possible, or, like, he doesn't say that it's, like, they claimed that they wanted to stop this racist imperialism and leave it up to interpretation, right? So if you're, like, really negative about the Rokuhara and think they're all assholes, they're all, like, violent assholes, he's pitching that they're good guys here, but he's not phrasing... if he actually disliked them, though, or wanted to give you the impression that he dislikes them, or just leave it up to... the best way to do it, without actively saying, like, I hate the Rokuhara, would just be to leave it up to chance and be like, they suggested this, or they hinted this, or they made this action, but you don't tell them what their intention was. Because he's saying he's reading into the Rokuhara intentions and saying they're great people, they're peace-loving, you know, friendly people that don't want war. But then he also hates them, which is kind of weird. Maybe he's, I don't know. This seems a bit unusual. Like, I would probably try to phrase it in, like, a neutral way. But maybe he just hates the, like, internal policies of the Rokuhara, rather than, their, there's another way, right? He could hate the internal policies of the Rokuhara, but not actually hate their, words. Their international policies. So he might be on the side of their international policies. Maybe that's his perspective. There we go. We got a character with a slightly nuanced perspective. He doesn't like the Rokuhara because they're terrible to the people of Japan, but he thinks Japanese imperialism's good. Okay, that seems to be where he's leaning. That makes him not a hypocrite, but a character with, like, mixed feelings on the Rokuhara. So he can really not like them, but he can acknowledge that they're, like, strong and, you know, keeping Yamato a force in the world, right?
一方、資源に恵まれず、他国からの支援もない大和側は、即戦即決の意図をくじかれると後が続かなかった。
Yamato has always lacked in natural resources necessary to maintain a large army. Yep. Without the support of other nations, we were unable to continue the blitzkrieg offensives that had proved so effective early in the campaign. The war quickly drew to a standstill. Yep. Okay. Yep. That's a solid rationale. Okay. That was also one of their concerns in World War II.
ついには本土決戦を迎える。
And then slowly but surely, Yamato and forces were driven from the territories they claimed.
九州、中国と侵略され、
pushed back across the Pacific to the home islands, there to mount a desperate defense against the might of the West. Defeat preceded defeat, Kyushu fell, then Chugoku, but Rokuhara alone stood strong.
誰もが六原さえ出撃すれば情勢は覆ると信じていた。
Everyone believed Yamato would prevail if only Rokuhara would take the field, and then
大和史上に前例のない歴史的決断を下す。
Rokuhara made a truly historic decision. Okay, so you've lost everything but one region of Japan. How are you going to win this? Suzukawa, master of irony.
六原は裏切った。
They betrayed us. Ah, here we go. Here's why he doesn't like them.
祖国を見捨て、連盟軍に降伏した。その先兵となって、大和を制圧した。町を焼き、市民を殺し、逆らうすべてを滅ぼした。
They abandoned Yamato and surrendered to the invaders, then returned as Britain's vanguard to conquer their homeland. They burned villages, slaughtered civilians, and annihilated everything that stood in their way. Wait a minute. There's not even, like, that... Wait, didn't they say, like... Kyushu and Chugoku. Wait, those are islands, right? I'm just gonna check. Kyushu Island. Kyushu is one of the major islands in Japan, right? I'll just try to remember what all the islands are. I don't remember the names and shapes of all the islands of Japan's main islands. Kyushu is like the southern bit, including Okinawa. Okay. That's like the southwesternmost island of Japan. Which was the next one he mentioned? Chugoku? Chugoku Island region. Shugoku region is like just north of it. Okay. And they said Rokuhara. I don't actually know what Rokuhara region. I don't know what island Rokuhara is. Or if it's a region. It's probably the central area. I'm gonna assume it's the central area. I'm gonna assume it's the central island with Tokyo on it. Alright. Rokuhara alone remains strong. So they have... So, what he's saying is, they lost every single major island except for their main island with Tokyo on it. And then... they abandoned Yamato, surrendered to the invaders, returned as Britain's vanguard to conquer their homeland, burned villages, lodged villages. That doesn't even make sense. I don't understand this. They surrendered to the invaders, why would they kill their own people? That seems counterproductive. That doesn't... I guess... that seems counterproductive. They have all the military force, they kept it. And then they... destroy their own land? Alright. After they've conquered their land, they destroy it. That doesn't make sense. Actively destroying the land once you've conquered it doesn't make sense, right? You're destroying your own resources? Alright.
かくして大戦は終わり、ヤマトは一応の主権を保障されながらも、連盟の GHQ の管理下に置かれ、六原は寝返りの褒美に、その下でヤマトの統治権を獲得する。
And so the war ended. Although Yamato was allowed to maintain some semblance of sovereignty, we were placed under the purview of General Headquarters, GHQ, and its garrison of Western troops. As a reward for their betrayal, Rokuhara was granted rule over Yamato, the prize they desired all along. Alright.
時に交流35年、国旗2594年、外暦1934年。
Year was Koryu 35, 2594 by Imperial calendar, and 1934 by Western. In other words, 6 years ago. Okay.
そうだ。あれからまだ6年しか経っていないのだ。
It may be hard to believe, but it's true. Only 6 years have passed since then.
以上だ。
That's all for today. Next
次回
time,
からはこの流れを順々に追っていく。
we'll cover these events in
で
detail.
は、
Who's on
日
duty
直。
today? So I guess he's like in favor. Yeah, I think that leaves us with he's in favor of Japanese imperialism and doesn't like the Rokuhara's concession. I guess the goal of Great Britain, the now world conquering nation, was to ensure to after the war dismantle their production facilities and economies so they can't rise again and just rule for a few hundred centuries. I guess that's sufficient, sure. I'm like coping to try and figure out what a good gap is. I think that makes more sense. You destroy all their major centers so that they don't have the industrial base to manufacture tsurugi and are basically reliant on you, so they're going to be a compliant state. Code Gyaos with extra steps? Pretty much, yeah. Alright.
いや、それがものすごい速さでな、こう、バヒューンと。
It was faster than anything I'd ever seen, like, boom.
竹林の奥を
Saw it in the bamboo grove?
ああ、竹の間をすり抜けるようにしてな。イタチか何かみたいなすばしっこ
It
さ
was
だった
darting
な。
between stalks. It was so quick I thought it a weasel or something at first. It wasn't?
人間だったんじゃねえかな。そんな形してたしな。で
I think
も
it was a man?
人間の動きじゃねえよな。
It was
あ
shaped
れ
like one. But no one can move so fast.
猿だったのかもしれねえけど、多分あれは。
It might have been a monkey or something, but no, it was probably a...
ああ、いや、
Never mind.
なんでもねえや。うん。山から降りてきた猿かなんかだろ。よくいるん
Ah,
だ。
never mind.
そんな間抜けも。タケノコでも掘りに来たのかね。
I'm sure it's just a monkey come down from the mountains. Happens now and then. They get lost or come looking for mushrooms.
もう いいか？
Is that all? We gotta
お
get
じ
back
さん
to
も
work.
その忙しいからさ。
Are they gonna check the grove yet?
はい、どうも。ありがとうございました。
They're so laid back. After the man scurried out of sight, the three of us exchanged silent glances. While asking around the bars near the bamboo grove, we heard about a guy who saw something 3 nights ago, and now we know what it was. He stopped himself before he could say it, but it's not difficult to imagine what he was thinking. Something shaped like a man that moves with unnatural speed. In other words, something that's both human and inhuman. A Musha. And Musha can only mean Rokuhara since no one else may own a Tsurugi. Immediately after the war, GHQ rounded up all the loose Tsurugi in Yamato, and now it's nearly impossible to find one out of Rokuhara hands. There were some who managed to conceal their ownership, but most were eventually discovered or betrayed, while others rose up and were crushed. Either way, they lost their Tsurugi and their lives. There was a brief period during which such stories were fairly common. I haven't heard anything recently, though. There probably aren't any holdouts left. At least as far as Kanto is concerned, Rokuhara's monopoly on Musha is absolute. No exceptions, well, aside from racing cruxes, I guess.
アーマーレーサーがたまたまここで練習してたってオチだと思う？
Think an armor racer might have been practicing in the grove?
確かに。コーナーリングは鍛えられそうだが。
You can see how it might improve one's
田
cornering.
中来店も心が広くなったもんね。事故が日常のアーマーレースの練習場に竹林を提供するなんて。
Old Lightning Emperor must be getting soft to let racers practice on his land. Maybe he doesn't know how often they crash. Not a chance in hell. In the first place, racers aren't allowed to don their armor except at established racetracks. We have our answer. Unless this guy's mistaken, there was a Rokuhara Musha in the grove 3 nights ago. The same night Ritsu disappeared. The slave trade. Once again, the ugliest of phrases rears its stinking head. It was one possibility when we spoke about it last night. We were spared from having to face the utter hopelessness it represented. But now...
本当に六原にさらわれたのか、リツ。
Ritsu, did Rokuhara really take you? The thought looms suddenly far more real than before, yet none of us dare put it into words, our lips sealed by the same understanding that silenced the man. No one can defy Rokuhara. If Rokuhara took her, well, there's nothing we can do. Rationing, conscription, random tax hikes, there's been no end to Rokuhara's oppression. Still, it was never too much for us to bear until now. Now, ultimate power in Yamato is threatening to take our friend away, if it hasn't already. We have to do something, but what? Rokuhara is untouchable and nothing can bring them to justice. There are no heroes.
どうすればいいの？
What do we do? Konatsu can no longer maintain a cheerful facade, her voice heavy, and I have no words with which to lighten her burden. What should we do? Pray for aid from a just god who surely doesn't exist? Perhaps we should pray for a wrathful god to destroy Rokuhara instead. That seems more realistic. But no, prayer won't solve our problem.
竹林を調べよう。まずは事実の確認が。
Let's check out the grove. We still have to be sure what happened. I don't know why we haven't checked it
確
yet.
認してどうすんだよ。
And then what?
夕日。
Yuhi?
どうにもできねえじゃんか、六原が敵なら。竹林調べて武者が律を拉致ったって証拠つかんで、それからどうするよ。
There's nothing we can
六
do.
原に殴り込みでもかけんのか。
Not against Rokuhara. So we check the grove and find proof that Amusha took Ritsu. Then what? Are we gonna bust into Pudaraku Castle and rescue her? Shit, what the hell am I doing? Why am I taking this out on Tadayasu? I'm such a fucking loser. Tadayasu is right as usual. Nothing is set in stone. We need to know exactly what happened. But I'm afraid we've spent 2 days faffing about instead of actually just checking this place. I'm afraid if we find proof that we're powerless, despair will crush me. If we give up now, I can still cling to the resolution, or delusion, that Ritsu might come strolling back any minute just like she always has. I'm a coward.
夕日。
Yuhi? Sorry, you're
Nani?
right. We gotta be sure first.
そうだよな。まずは確かめるのが先決だ。
Then we can cry about it.
竹林に行こ
Let's check the
う。じい
grove.
さんの目をごまかして、なんとか。
We'll find a way to get past old Tanaka.
いや、違うよ。夕日、あれ。
Not that, Tadayasu replies, tapping on my shoulder. Look over there.
え？
What? I raise my bowed head to see Tadayasu and Konatsu staring off at something to the side. I follow their gaze.
あれはあれじゃないかな。
It's gotta be.
あれよね。
Definitely.
暗闇星人
The Darkling. So he's just an edgelord, alright. There stands the gloomiest looking man I've ever seen. The man is young, even handsome objectively, but his positive qualities are utterly eclipsed by the aura of darkness that surrounds him. It's like, I'm afraid to get close because I might spontaneously transform into a middle-aged man with a shitty job and no love life. That's how bleak, how positively demonic his aura is. This man is terrifying because just being near him will turn you into a miserable person. Damn, alright.
どうしようか。
It's rare to see Tadayasu so shaken, but I don't blame him. Even at this distance, I can feel the dark energy like static against my skin.
声かけてみる？
Should we talk to him? Of course, what she means is you talk to him. I don't want to go either, though, so I suggest the next best
とり
plan.
あえず様子を見てみるか。
Maybe we should follow him for a while. That won't go
異
poorly.
議なし。
No objections here.
先生。
Agreed. That settles it. We'll put off approaching the man for now. He walks off and we follow at a distance, careful to stay out of the field of darkness that is literally pushing other pedestrians out of the way. Their words, not mine. After leaving the bar district, the man wanders around Ritsu's neighborhood for a bit and then heads to our school. No way this is coincidence. He's up to something.
苦労だよな。
Gotta be
報
him.
道を見る限り少なくとも無関係ということはなさそうだね。加えて一つ。
Judging by the route he's taken, he has to be related somehow, and then there's...
何？
What?
さっき学校前で上原先生を捕まえて話を聞いてたじゃない
So
か。
I'm talking to
あの
Mr.
人
Uehara now?
ああ、最初は上原嫌そうな顔してたのに、途中から急におとなしくなったんだよな。
Yeah, Uehara seemed annoyed at first, but then he got quiet all of a
そ
sudden.
うそう、それは私も気になってた。
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
その時のことなんだけど、
If I'm not
僕の
mistaken,
見間違いでなければあの時銃を見せたんだよ。
I think that
先生
guy flashed a gun at him. We'll just follow the armed guy. That might have...
銃？
A gun?
拳
Yeah.
銃だったね。懐からこうちらっと一瞬だけ。肩まではよくわからなかったな。
It was only for a second, but I'm pretty sure... Though I couldn't tell the model.
そりゃ上原もビビるよ。
No wonder Uehara was afraid. Like Tsurugi, guns belong to another world. Only a soldier or a cop would have one, or a criminal. Which means
犯人確定だろ。
he's the guy who took Ritsu.
状況証拠としては十分かもね。
It's circumstantial evidence, but probably enough.
あの行動範囲でおまけに銃。
It's root in his gun. It has
疑
to
う
be
余地
him.
がないじゃないの。
Yeah, she's absolutely right. I mean, what else could he be? Some random gun nut wandering around town? He's the kidnapper or someone working with the kidnapper. A childlike solution or resolution, but alright. Alright, that's acceptable.
あいつを
I'm gonna...
どうするの？
Gonna what?
どうするわけ？
You gonna do?
捕まえる。
I'm gonna catch him. Alright, dude. Go for it.
本気かい？
You serious? I can't deny desperation is getting the better of me here, but letting the guy go isn't an option. I mean, you won't even investigate the crime scene where you think your friend was murdered and or captured, but you're gonna catch the criminal. Very childlike resolution. You won't even look to see if that's what happened to them or what happened, but you're definitely assuming this guy's at fault.
奴が六原の武者だとしても、今は非武装だ。どうにかなる。
Even if he's a Rokuhara Musha, he's unarmed. I've got a chance.
非武装ってあんた
Unarmed.
銃持ってんのよ。
He's got a gun.
そりゃ剣に比べれば豆鉄砲みたいなもんだけどね。
Yeah, sure, it's not a
僕らにと
Tsurugi,
って
but
は
it'll
ど
kill
っ
you
ちも
just
大して変わら
instead.
ない殺人兵器だよ。
I mean, he's right.
当たらなければ大丈夫。
Not if I don't get shot.
当たったら
And if you do,
根性で耐えて前へ進む。
guts. I keep going.
なんか似たようなこと言って騎馬軍団を全滅させた人が昔いなかったかな。
I seem to recall a general who got his entire cavalry brigade killed that way.
せめて作戦とかないの？
Shouldn't you at least have a plan? Plans? For our protagonist, King?
俺があいつの前に立って気を引く。その間に忠康、お前が後ろから殴れ。
This guy's like yelling this out, by the way. He's not whispering it. I'll draw his attention. Tadayasu, you hit him from behind.
新参希望だね。
ありがとう。
Thanks.
肉が通じない。
He was being sarcastic.
イケイケモードに入っちゃったみたいだね。律への心配と敵を見つけた興奮と六原への恐怖の裏返しとが混ざり合った結果じゃないかなと分析してみたりするけど。
He's in total gung-ho mode. I'm guessing it's a mixture of worry for Ritsu, resentment of Rokuhara, and excitement at finally having a target. I mean, he couldn't just pick investigating the spot where she disappeared as a target for a day and a half. That would have been too difficult.
どうするのよ。
So what now?
乗ってみてもいいんじゃないかな。
Might as well go along with it. For real?
見てよ、あの人、米屋の裏の路地に入ろうとしてる。あそこなら回り込むのは簡単だ。夕日の作戦通りにやれると思うよ。
Guy's heading into the alleyway behind the rice store. It'll be easy to get ahead of him there. I think Yuhi's plan might work.
でも、
捕まえれば得られるものは大きい。うまく尋問する必要があるけれどね。
If we succeed, we stand to gain a lot, assuming we can get something out of him.
ま、どうにかなるんじゃないかな。律の居所がわかる可能性もある。
But hey, I'm sure it'll work out. We might even learn where Ritsu is. Sure.
忠康、いいか。
You ready?
OK。くず鉄工場で鉄パイプか何か拾ってから回り込む。夕日はドブ川が曲がるあたりで仕掛けて。
Good to know. Good to go. I'll grab a pipe or something from the junkyard and get ahead of him. You distract him when he turns at the drainage ditch.
わかった。
Got it.
ゆい、怪我しないで
Be
よ。
careful, okay?
お、
No problem. I know this is totally insane. I know we're likely to get ourselves killed. The palms of my hands are dripping with sweat. This is a aggressive plan. To be honest, my plan is hardly worthy of the name. We might surprise him enough to keep him from using his gun, but so what? Even without their Tsurugi, Musha are masters of the martial arts and not the kind of enemy a couple kids can handle. At this distance, I can make out the lines of his body. The man is slender but clearly well built, his posture erect, his stride firm. I'm sure he's been through rigorous training. Even if he isn't a Musha, he's definitely a soldier of some sort. Crazy to go up against him, but still, we have a chance. As long as he's alone and doesn't have a Tsurugi, we can fight. We can do something besides lie down and cry. It disgusts me how desperate I am. I want so badly to seize this chance. After all, even if we can't defeat Rokuhara, if this plan works, we'll have scored a victory. A small one, but a victory, nonetheless.
それで満足しようってのか。バカ。
That's enough to satisfy you? We're approaching the bend in the drainage ditch. No more thinking, just take him down. Figure out the next step after that. Now, I charge the man and shout.
おい、そこのクラグラとした悪党。
Hey, evil-looking evildoer. Yes? Man stops and turns to face me. Our eyes meet. He looks at me and I look at him. His gaze is cool and quiet. I plant my feet and slide to a stop. Tadayasu rushes the man from behind, his speed astonishingly fast. The man turns at the sound of his footsteps. I try to shout something but nothing comes out. The man looks straight at Tadayasu, but Tadayasu doesn't hesitate. He swings his metal pipe high over his head. The man looks up at it. He watches the pipe come down. He watches as the pipe meets his forehead. Keeps watching right to the end. Should I congratulate you guys?
いや、どうか
Good
な。
question.
まさか一発で倒せるとは
Sure didn't
思わなかっ
expect
た
to
ね。
KO him with one hit.
六原の人間にしては、ちょっとあまりにもあまりなんじゃない？
soldier? Isn't he kind of a wussy? Do our evil overlords really use guys who let themselves get knocked out by teenagers? This isn't right. I feel like pigs are about to start raining from the sky. Well, secure him before he gets up, because he's older than you and probably has more muscle mass. And can run faster than you, because he's probably got longer legs, too. Even if you might have given him a concussion. If he can get away, you're in trouble, so what do we do
い
next?
や、まあ、六原だってピンキリだろうし、大半は武者でも何でもない普通の兵士なわけだし、こういうことも。
Rokuhara is not just Musha, it's mostly foot soldiers. They can't all be killing machines, right? Are they just gonna stand there and wait for him to recover?
そうそう、たまたまこの人は六原100万機の100万番目だったんじゃないかな。
Yeah, Rikuhara's got what, like a million troops? We just bagged ourselves the millionth Riker.
おお、それなんかすげえ確率だな、忠康。
I mean, these guys have done nothing but talk whenever they should be acting or asking questions. So I'm not surprised if their banter backfires at some point. I know, it makes me want to buy a lottery ticket.
わかった、オーケー。私がはっきり言ってあげる。ねえ、この人。
I'll be what to say. What if he's...
そろそろ日が暮れるな。
Ah, what a beautiful sunset.
焼き芋でも買って帰ろうか。
Did we get grilled potatoes on the way home?
ただの通行人だったんじゃないの？
Just a regular guy. You just had to say it.
いや、でも悪党って呼んだらはいって答えたよ、この男。
No, he answered yes when I called him an evildoer.
それは単に声かけられたから返事しただけじゃないのかしら。
Sure he wasn't just responding to your voice?
そう思うなら止めてほしかったな。下手をすると僕ら3人ひたすら無意味に傷害罪なんだけど。
You could have stopped me, you know. Worst case, the three of us might have committed assault for no reason. Surely this guy's got enough.
実行犯はお前だ。
You're the one who hit him?
一人だけ実験ね。お別れね。さようなら。元気でね。腕たどころきっと忘れない。
Looks like you're off to prison. Farewell, Tadayasu. I'll never forget you.
大丈夫。僕たちはずっと一緒さ。だって教唆犯と実行犯の罪は同等だもの。
Don't worry. We'll be together forever. Aiding and abetting, fetches the same sentence.
そうだ、拳銃。忠康、こいつ拳銃持ってたんだろ。ならまっとうな人間なわけがない。
He had a gun, didn't he? No way, he's just a regular guy.
ああ、そうだったね。確認してみよう。確かコートの下に。
I almost forgot. Hold on, I think it was underneath his jacket.
忠康。
Tadayasu? Did you find the gun?
うん。銃はあるよ。
I found it.
よし、何がいいのかともかくとしてよし。
I don't know what's great, but great. This means we're not criminals, probably.
忠康？
Tadayasu?
銃はあるんだけどね。そのグリップに朝日の紋章がついてるんだ。
Well, he's got a gun, but the gun has a sunburst emblem on the grip.
Huh?
Huh?
朝日？
A sunburst? That's
警察局の紋章だね。
the emblem of the Kamakura Police Department? I mean, based on your assumption, there is no reason the Kamakura Police Department would not actively be working with the Rokuhara to capture their slaves. So, if that's actually your conclusion, then I would assume that they use the police force to help funnel people. That's why they're so useless about investigating missing persons. Right? If that's your assumption, just going with that, right? Why do we even care? Why do we care? We just assume this guy was Rokuhara, and he's a cop for the Rokuhara. What's the difference? Even you thought he was higher ranked up. They might not even care. Oh, they probably care about this guy, but like still. You thought you'd like beaten down one of the like millionth soldiers, and now it's just like a different arm of their hands? Come on, man. Make up your mind about hating the government or not. Jesus. Oh my god, I wasn't here. I'm leaving.
いやー、どうしたもんだろうね、この始末。
Straight just a fate. And they're just goofing off around him like he's not gonna notice that. We're fucked. Okay. No follow through on their beliefs. We're really, really sorry.
あなた方の謝罪は了解しました。
Well, I accept your
もう
apologies.
頭
Please
を上
lift
げ
your
てく
heads.
ださい。
I don't understand this. Their line of reasoning was that he works for the government, captured their friend, and sold her to another state as a slave. And they're thinking the police officers aren't doing the footwork for the federal agency that's doing this. I don't understand that rationale. It would make way more sense if the police are in on it. Because otherwise, they'd actively intervene. Really stupid shit to say, but alright. If it's like they're conspiracy theorists, but don't actually believe their own conspiracies. Like the guy. It's like, okay, you're a conspiracy theorist, but you don't believe your own theory. Alright. The gloomy man turned out to be a pretty nice guy. After he woke up, he was patient enough to listen while we tumbled all over each other, trying to explain ourselves, then was even nice enough to forgive us without a single rebuke. I've never met a guy this chill. He could give the Buddha a run for his money. Actually, it's kind of weird. Shut your goddamn mouth. To be sure, I'll use my fist to shut it for him. Not that I don't get where he's coming from. The man's back is ruler straight. His perfect posture, hardly suitable for a nice day in the park. Still, it doesn't feel like he's making an effort. It probably just comes naturally to him. Maybe that's why he's so tall. If I stop slouching, I'll grow taller. It might be worth a shot. Also, if it's known that Rokuhara are so hated, there's a very real chance that he's not actively advertising himself in any way, shape, or form as a direct follower of their federal government. In the center of his forehead is an enormous lump. Sure, all it needs is ice, but still, I don't think I'd be as forgiving in his place. Seriously, he's like a saint or something. Sorry, those two are such idiots. They wouldn't listen to me no matter how much I told them to stop.
ちなみにやる前にそこの女にはなんか葉っぱかけられたような気がするんですが、それはさておいてごめんなさい。
Sorry, for the record, she's the one who egged us on, but enough about her. Did I say how sorry I am?
ちなみに僕は実行犯ではありますが、主犯は多分そっちの彼だと思いますと個人的見解を示しつつ、大変ご迷惑をおかけいたしました。
Well, I'm the one who actually attacked you. The responsibility lies squarely on this guy's shoulders. Just so you know, and while I'm pointing that out, I'd also like to say how terribly sorry I am. We, on the other hand, are doing a pretty good job of selling each other out.
大したことはありません。頭部で最も骨が硬い額でしたから。脳傷は健在です。 記憶の喪失も確認されません。
It's a small matter. Thankfully, the forehead's the hardest part of the skull. My brain is undamaged, and I'm experiencing no memory loss. Please don't worry. That makes it okay.
つまりあなた方は友人を助けたい一心で自分への襲撃行為に及んだ。
As I understand the situation, you assaulted me out of the desire to rescue your friend. Is that correct? Well, yes.
状況を鑑みれば自分が疑われたのも無理からぬことと言えます。
In hindsight, I can see how my actions may have seemed suspicious. I don't feel the fault lies completely with you three. I'm gonna have to disagree with you there. How can this guy be so calm? He's even speaking politely like we're his superiors instead of a bunch of dumbass kids. I mean, we hit him with a pipe. He could have died.
短絡的な行動だったのは確かですが、それもお年を思えば仕方のないことです。ただ、今後は注意を求めます。
Oh, it's true. Your actions were rash.
他の方に怪我をさせてはい
The
けません。
province of youth. That said, I'd ask you to exercise more caution in the future. It would not do to injure someone other than myself.
はい。
Right.
肝に銘じます。
Understand.
いい勉強をさせていただきました。
Take that into consideration next time. Next time.
ところでおまわりさん、こういう聞き方はなんですけど、どうしてあんな怪しい行動をしてらしたんです？
The way, officer. Sorry to be blunt. Why are you acting so suspicious?
お前な。
Right. I want to know too, but come on. The officer doesn't seem offended though. He just nods and answers as though it were nothing.
あなた方のご友人、風間律さんの失踪について
I was
調査をしてい
investigating
ま
the
した。
disappearance of your friend Kazuma Ritsu.
はい。
What? Kanatsu and I gape in disbelief, although, come to think of it, there's nothing actually wrong with his answer.
いや、正直それだけはないと思ってたんですけど。
To be honest, that's the one thing I was sure you wouldn't say. Pardon?
いやいや、ただやす。
Uh-oh.
ストープ
Stop! Kanatsu and I clamp our hands over Tadayasu's mouth to prevent him from digging an even deeper hole. But the officer seems to have guessed what Tadayasu was getting
な
at.
るほど。警察がまともに仕事をするとは珍しいという趣旨の疑問でしょうか。
You must be surprised a police officer would actually be doing his job. Well, yeah.
歯に衣着せずに言えば。
ごもっともです。実際、警察機構の大半は形骸化しています。
Your doubts are well founded. The police have indeed ceased to function as we should. In fact, I'm not acting on official orders to search for Miss Kazuma.
今後も捜索班が編成されることはないでしょう。予算も人員もなく、許可も与えられないでしょうから。
They didn't believe the police would look, and then they talk to a cop, and it's like, yeah, the police don't actually look into missing persons. I'm doing this on my own time. It's unlikely a search team will ever be dispatched. We haven't the budget or the manpower. And even if we did, we would never receive permission.
許可?
Permission?
六原の許可です。幕府は非常事態勢を理由に警察を監督下に置いています。
Shogunate placed the police under its direct control. We can't act without their express permission. That seems incredibly inefficient. But okay.
そして幕府に益しない行動は許されません。
Shogunate will never allow any act that does not directly benefit them. And so that's how it is.
警察の業務の大半は六原の雑用も同然と言えます。
The police exist
その
to
た
serve
めに必要
Rokuhara,
なだけの予算と人員しか与えられていない
but
のが
only
実情
allowed
で
the
す。
resources necessary to fulfill that role.
いやー、そんなもんだと聞いてはいましたけどね。でもそうなるとおまわりさんはどうして律の捜査を?
I mean, that fits with what we heard, but if that's the case, why are you looking for Ritsu?
申し遅れました。
Forgive me for not introducing myself. The officer opens his jacket enough to show his pistol. Upon its grip glitters the sunburst emblem that so shocked us early in the day.
自分は内務省警察局鎌倉市警察署属員
Okay.
港影明です。
I am Minato Kageaki, attached to the Kamakura Police Department.
職員?
Attached to?
アルバイトの職員。昔の岡っ引き、下っ引きのようなものと思っていた
I'm
だ
a
ければ結構
part-time
です。
police officer, what used to be called a deputy if you prefer.
そんな制度あったんですか?
They still have this?
ありません。
They do not.
はい?
What?
公式には
Not
ですの
officially.
で六原の監督も受けません。
It's what enables me to act outside Rokuhara control.
あ
I
あ
get it.
なるほど
Wow, a deputy. It's so retro and cool. Things are getting interesting.
でも、さっき予算もないと
There's no
か。
budget? Hmm.
はい。もちろん自分は警察組織に法制度上は存在しないのですから。
Correct. I don't
活動費
exist
用
on
も
the
警察
payroll.
予算からはおりません。
Of course, I don't receive any official funding for my activities.
自分は鎌倉警察署長の私費で賄われる人員です。署長の指示する任務を行うため、署長個人から必要な経費や装備を与えられています。
He works directly for the Kamakura Police Commissioner. He gives me such funds and equipment as necessary to carry out my mission paid for out of his own pocket.
そういうことですか。
So that's how it is. Which means the Commissioner is doing everything he can under the circumstances. I don't know your name or face, Commissioner, but I'm sorry for thinking you were just another Rokuhara stooge.
それで港さんの任務っていうのは? さっきの話じゃ律の捜索ってわけでもないようですけど。
Oh, so what's your mission? It sounds like looking for Ritsu isn't the whole picture. You guy's very generous with his information.
ぶしつけな質問で
Sorry for the
ごめんなさい
I want to know too.
構いません。自分が風間さんの失踪について調査をしているのは、事件に無者の関与が見受けられるため。
No need to apologize. I'm investigating Miss Kazuma's disappearance because I believe Amusha was involved.
え?
自分の任務は銀星号事件の解決です。
My mission is to end the Ginseigo massacres. What? That's a very aggressive mission for a man with a handgun. The massacres began about 2 years ago when something started wiping out villages, towns, and even military bases. Wasn't that the military, though? That was actually the military, though, based on our own perspective. Nobody but the Rokuhara was wiping out the villages. The fact that the soldiers were also driven berserk and died is like just a coincidence based on our example. Wouldn't it make more sense if... whatever. Alright. I mean, I assume that... Oh, were there any survivors? I assume if there were any survivors of, like, the prologue scene, that the government didn't report exactly what they were doing there. That's what I assume happened. The attacks occur without warning or discernible cause. Each leaves behind no survivors. I mean, if you were a person who had the whole picture of things, okay, let's think of this. Like, an entire battalion of soldiers is dispatched to a small village for what purpose? Including like a squad of dragoons, including like a company of dragoons. They're dispatched to an unarmed village looking for one person, and then they are all killed. That doesn't seem like the silver guy randomly attacking, right? That seems more like it's like, why would you bring that many soldiers and a battalion of dragoons to the village in the first place? It's a village. They don't even have guns here, presumably. And you had an entire army of soldiers. You probably only needed like 20 guys with guns. If it was for a normal person. Or just the dragoons for anything else. Unless you were already planning on wiping out the village. So maybe it was the soldiers that killed everyone. If you were like a smart person, you'd be like, oh, they were all dead from the soldiers, right? Like, if you knew the soldiers were there, wouldn't you be concerned about the soldiers killing everyone? However, when the authorities arrive in the aftermath, they find total devastation. Total, every last person dead. Some of the victims are beheaded, others bludgeoned to death or split in half by inhuman force. Some were even torn to shreds as though something ran them through a wood chipper. Presumably, the silver... We don't know if the silver guy's striking at all the villages and bases. But presumably, since the military started the first massacre, these are all military massacres, right? That they just blame all their own massacres on the silver guy instead of doing anything. So like he strikes once or twice, they kill 3 more villages, and blame all 5 on the silver suit. That seems to make sense. In every victim whose wounds bear the mark of some monstrous warrior, there are a dozen who appear to have been slain by their own friends. Nothing remains but corpses and wreckage, with no sign, no trace of the force that brought about such catastrophe. Why did they die? What killed them? To date, there is no clear answer. There are, however, stories. I saw something fly away from that village. I saw someone walking away from the schoolhouse. I saw something silver shoot across the sky. Even Musha were killed. That can only mean one thing. And so the people of Yamato know that it exists. The Angel of Slaughter, the Reign of Death, the Silver Star, Ginseiko. Also, Ginsei. Ginsei would be like a silver star, by the way. I don't know what the go part is actually read as, but Ginsei would totally work for a silver star. Or silver planet, right? Wait, is Sego star? That would answer that question. Because you usually use Sei for planets. Let's see. I don't know. We'll see. I don't remember. Hold on. Alright. Ginseigo is a force of nature, bringing death and destruction to all in its path. It is a wrathful god, sowing disaster with nightmarish impartiality. Giant or dwarf, native or foreigner, lunatic or sane, its nature changes with every telling. The only consistent thing is that is the silver. Village, town, and fortress alike, all destroyed by the same silver Musha. Ginseigo massacres. In the 2 years since its appearance, Ginseigo has caused at least 7 such disasters across Kanto. Both Rokuhara and GHQ have launched investigations, but neither has shown results.
その銀星号を逮捕するっつうんですか?
You can arrest Ginsego?
そのような平和的な対処が可能であれば喜ばしい限りです。
I
しかし
sincerely
お
hope
そらく
a peaceful
殺
solution
傷
will
も含め
present
た手段
itself.
を検討する必要があるでしょう。
However, it is far more likely I will have to resort to lethal force.
いや、あるでしょうじゃなくて、勝てるわけないじゃないですか。
What are you talking about? There's no way you win that. That is the truth, plain and simple. Rokuhara is Yamato's supreme fighting force commanding all the nation's Musha. None can stand against it with one exception. Ginsego, the invincible silver demon for whom even Rokuhara's warriors are but prey. Despite Rokuhara's best efforts at quashing such rumors, it's whispered in dark bars and back alleys that Ginsego destroyed an entire company of Rokuhara's dragoons single-handedly. There's no way to be sure of its veracity, but the fact is that where Ginsego is concerned, Rokuhara has never shown the same self-assurance that they approach everything else. The mere hint of a sighting is enough to send their search teams scurrying to the other side of Kanto and back again. It's almost like the Rokuhara is afraid of Ginsego. Because of this, some of the anti-shogunate factions consider Ginsego a hero. Of course, it kills innocent farmers as often as soldiers. Ginsego, the stories are hard to believe, but if there really is a lone Musha that can defeat Rokuhara warriors with such ease, that Musha is truly supreme. I mean, yeah, it fucks some people up. No one can defeat it. It's madness to try.
それとも銀星号の噂のほとんどは実は誇張だと。
Stories about Ginsego?
そうなんですか?
Stories?
いいえ。むしろ情報規制のため、市民の間の風説は実態よりもいささかおとなしいと言えます。
Because information pertaining to Ginsego is tightly controlled, the rumors you've heard are likely rather tame compared to the truth. No way.
そんなのとどうやって
Can you fight
そ
something
の
like
拳銃
that?
で戦うって言うんですか?
Gun of yours?
それは不可能かと。この銃は非公式の身分証の意味合いで貸与されているに過ぎ
That's
ないもので
impossible.
す。
This pistol serves
弾
only
丸
as a
は装
badge
填
of
されて
office.
おりません。
It's not loaded. He's like, yeah, I got a gun. It doesn't work.
それじゃますます話にならないじゃないですか。戦う力がなけりゃどうにも。
Even worse. What do you do without a weapon?
戦う力はあり
I
ます。
have a weapon.
あったって無駄ですよ。銀星号ってのは悪魔みたいなもんでしょ。勝てやしませんよ。戦ったって無駄なものとなんで戦うんです。
Ginsego's a monster, right? You can't win. How can you fight when there's no chance? Tadayasu and Konatsu say nothing, but I can tell they're thinking the same thing. Fight Ginsego? Bullshit. If it were anyone else talking, I'd laugh it off as a joke. But this guy's dead serious, and that's obvious from the look in his eyes and tone of his voice. He's gonna get himself killed.
なんで
How do you...
戦うべきだからです。
Because I must. What? That's
い
it?
や、だから戦ったって
You
勝てないのに。
you can't win.
戦わねばならない時、勝てるか否かという思案は重要なことなのでしょうか。
When there is no choice but to fight, is the likelihood of victory important?
そりゃ重要ですよ。だって負けたら意味がないじゃないですか。
Yeah, it's important. If you lose, there's no point.
はい。自分もたとえ負けようが戦うこと自体に意味がある。
Indeed, I am
な
not
ど
so
とは思
conceited
いません。
as to believe my battle
そ
has
れでは
meaning
ただの
in
自己
itself.
満足です。スポーツならばそれでもよい。自分の戦いは違います。
This is not a sport where one can be satisfied with having done his best.
是を非としても
I must win at
勝
all
たねばなりま
costs.
せん。
And this will get
し
you
か
there.
しそれは戦う決断をした後の話です。
Okay. But such
戦わね
concerns
ばならないから
come
戦う。
after one has made the decision to fight.
その決断に勝つか負けるかというケー
I
スも
must fight,
必
therefore I
要はあり
shall.
ません。
To reach this conclusion does not require one to consider the probability of success.
自分には銀星号を止める責務があります。だから戦うのです。それ
My
だけのこと
responsibility
で
to
す。
stop it, therefore I will. That's all there is to it. He delivers every word in the same dry tone without the slightest glimmer of vanity. What is he saying? I need to understand. I need to understand. I must fight, therefore I shall. Those words, that resolve, that's what I've always...
年長者ぶって偉そうに話をしてしまいました。自分より年少の者を捕まえて船舶な人生観を語る若造ほど滑稽な人間はいないと母に教えられていたのですが。
It seems I've been giving you three a lecture, though I'm hardly in a position to do so. My mother always said that a few things are as pitiful as a man who preaches to children despite his own immaturity.
恥ずかしい限りです。
I must apologize. Well, that's fair. He's apologizing. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that. That's okay.
つまり港さんは銀星号事件の専属捜査員で律の失踪も関係があるかもしれないから調べてるってことですよね。
So to summarize, you're a deputy assigned to the Ginsego case, and you're looking for Ritsu because her disappearance might have something to do with it? Once again, I find myself envying Tadayasu's ability to control the flow of the conversation.
概要はそのようになります。
An accurate summary. You think this village Kamakura is next?
それって律が銀星号の被害に遭ったかもってことですか？
Does that mean
けどなんていう
Ginsego
か
took Ritsu?
あんまり銀星号らしい事件じゃないと思うんですけど。
That doesn't seem like something Ginsego would do.
そうね。住宅地が丸々一つ壊滅したっていうならともかく。
Yeah, burn down her whole neighborhood, maybe. I was thinking the same thing. All the stories make Ginsego sound like a natural disaster, a hurricane, or a tsunami. It doesn't feel right for it to go after one person.
銀星号事件といえば大量殺戮という印象がありますが、
Most people,
そ
when
れ
they
は
hear the
正
name
確ではないか
Ginsego,
もしれません。
think of death on a massive scale. Interpretation or impression may not be entirely accurate.
銀星号が集団を標的とした場合は、事件特有の異常性が際立ち、個人を標的とした場合は、単なる通り魔殺人と区別がつかないだけだとも考えられ
It's
ます。
possible that while the massacres are immediately attributed to Ginsego thanks to their unique nature, the single victims may be written off as the work of a common murderer. Okay, so he's like, Ginsego does massacres, but he probably kills individuals too. It's like the assumption that's weird. It's like, all right, so Ginsego's always known for doing massive massacres where he kills a whole village and like a bajillion dragoons and 50 soldiers at the same time. But what if he's also killing random people here or there, like one person here, one person there? Okay, that's a weird assumption. But I suppose it seems like a very big stretch. Why wouldn't you just assume there's two killers? Assuming one killer, it's like assuming that there's one person in all of Japan doing all the murders ever seems like a really weird assumption. Like, oh, this person disappeared, therefore they were captured by Ginsego, and you're just like, really? I know it's a story, but it seems like it's weird to attribute an unknown. It's like, in a period where everyone hates the government because of what they've done recently and basically wants to strike at them in any way they can, and the only reason they don't is because they feel like they're unassailable. Do you really think that's the case? That doesn't seem consistent. Like, do you really want to just attribute every murder or disappearance to Ginsego, the individual? Seems weird, but okay. I guess that makes sense.
おっしゃられることには同感です。
That's at least they have the hint that like maybe he might have seen
風
something
間さんの失踪に銀
that was
星
too
号が直
fast
接
and
関
therefore
与
might
してい
have
る
been
と考え
a
ています。
Musha or one of their mechas, Tsurugi. That said, I myself do not believe Ginsego was directly involved in Miss Kazama's disappearance.
というと
So?
申し訳ありません。これ以上はお話しできないのです。
I'm afraid I cannot divulge any further details.
ああ、そうですか。いえいえ、それじゃ仕方ないです。
Tadayasu waves his hands to show there's no hard feelings. I was surprised how readily he was answering questions, but I guess there's a limit after all.
こう言っておきながら、誠に失礼ですが、皆様方のお話を改めて聞かせていただけないでしょう
This
か。
is why he was giving away information
地
freely.
元の方々の立場から収集された情報は、
Based on his
自分には
situation,
得難いもので
this
す。
seems like something he would do. I realize this may seem unfair, but if you don't mind, I'd like to hear your version of events. Locals such as yourselves have access to information I don't.
構わないよね。
Everyone cool with that?
もちろん。
Of course.
律の件を調査してくれるなら願ったり叶ったりってやつだもの。私たちが知ってることならいくらでも。
If you're looking for Ritsu, we'll help out any way we can. Ask us anything.
ありがとうございます。
Your assistance is
よろしくお
appreciated.
願いします。
He nods his thanks. Man, this guy is way too straight-laced. You lay shit out.
六原の奴隷貿易。そして、 竹林に武者とおぼしき影。
I see. The Rokuhara slave trade and a possible Musha sighting in the bamboo grove.
役に立ちますかね？
Will it help?
はい。
Yes, of
それは
course.
もちろん。
He reassures us our efforts weren't wasted, though I can't tell whether he's being honest or just polite. You shouldn't have come to your own you shouldn't have given him your conclusions if they're like really far-fetched and lacking evidence. I think it would have been better to just be like, well, we're concerned whether she was kidnapped or murdered because we haven't seen a body or a ransom. We assume there's something else going on here, possibly criminal. Blah blah blah. Like I don't know. Jumping to the slave trade seems unusual. The possible Musha sighting might be useful, and the location and information and like timeline, the things he would want to know, right? That are the things he would want were like the timeline you constructed for her disappearance, i.e., who saw her last, where they saw her, and the entire timeline of the night, so we can say confidently that she disappeared after X time, and that it was between these two locations, possibly in the Grove. That would be the useful information, but I guess they just told him their whole story because they're like 14 or whatever. I mean, these guys can't shut their mouths for 2 seconds, so I assume they just spouted everything they ever thought. Possibly at the same time.
実際のとこどうなんでしょう。
What do you think? Is it
そういう
true?
ことはあるんですか？
So cringe.
奴隷貿易ですか。
At the slave trade?
はい。
Yeah.
奴隷市場というものが海外に存在するのは事実です。幕府がそれに着眼し、利用している可能性もないと断言はできません。
It's true there are places in the world where human beings are sold. As to whether the shogunate is involved in that trade, I would not discount the possibility. A careful answer, I guess he knows better than to jump to conclusions. I mean, these guys really like jumping to conclusions with very little evidence, so them going there seems rational, and him being like, I don't know about that. Seems for solid. Yes?
リツは
Okay.
無事なんでしょうか？
わかりません。
Don't know.
わからないんですか？
You don't know?
はい。風間さんが何らかの事件に巻き込まれたことはほぼ間違いないと思われますが。
Afraid not. It seems
その
fairly
詳細
certain
は
Miss Cosmo
現
was
段
involved
階
in
にお
some
いて不
crime.
鮮明です。
The details are not yet clear.
風間さんの安否について
I
は
can
っ
make
きり
no
としたことは
declaration
何も申し上げ
as
ら
to
れ
her
ません。
safety. At least this guy is like super straightforward, so if he tells you something, you could maybe believe him. He does not flinch beneath Konatsu's accusing gaze, and his response is lucid, if cold, sticking to just the facts. He's nothing if not honest. A thoughtless adult would have told us not to worry and everything would be fine. Though considering what might happen when the hope he gave us is betrayed, this man's words can be trusted. He's putting on a good air of that, for sure.
小夏、無茶なことを聞くな。
Don't give him a hard time. I know.
わかってる。
Sorry, sir.
ごめんなさい、港さん。
いい。自分の力不足に羞恥を思います。友人の身を案じるあなた方を安心させて差し上げることができない。
My fault I can't guarantee the safety of your
警官
friend.
たる者として
As an
恥ず
officer
か
of
し
the
く思
law,
わずにはいられませ
I
ん。
cannot help but feel shame.
穴があれば入りたい心境です。
If there was a hole nearby, I'd gladly crawl into it and
掘
hide.
りましょうか？
Shall I dig you one?
お願いできますか？
If you don't mind.
いやいや、ちょっと待って。
Hold on. Once again, Tadayasu takes a nice scene somewhere silly. He's frighteningly good at that. But did Officer Minato really have to go along with it?
それで、じゃあ、
So what's the next
港
move?
さんはこれからどうされるんです？
無縁なと思われるでしょうが、まだ捜査の方向を限定する段階には達していないと判断します。
This may
情
seem
報収
somewhat
集を継
circuitous.
続することになるでしょう。
I intend to continue gathering information. In my opinion, there's not yet enough evidence to decide on a specific line of investigation. Seems roundabout, but if you think about it, our Rokuhara theory doesn't have a shred of evidence to back it up. Even the Musha setting's unconfirmed. Well, you guys, since he's saying gather information, how about we all go to that grove and find out if there's giant mecha footprints before it rains? Does nobody realize that like a shit ton of rain will just or waiting 3 days will hide all these footprints of this 500-pound mecha you're worried about? Like, it's gonna that eventually you're not gonna be able to see shit if you don't look at the crime scene. Come on, guys. quick decision might help us now, but speaking objectively, I prefer cops who don't jump to conclusions.
ここ鎌倉では近年失踪事件が珍しくありません。あなた方の学校周辺に限定しても差し当たってはそれらを洗い直し、状況の類似する事件がないか調べてみるつもりです。
Even just in the area near your school, before I draw any conclusions, I'd like to examine similar incidents and see if there are any linking factors. Okay.
じゃあ、
In that case,
はい。
その調査に俺たちを協力させてもらえませんか?
Could we help with your investigation? That was obviously coming up.
俺らには土地勘があります。
Either he's asking them or
影明さん
they're
は
asking
地元の
him.
人ではないんですよね。なら役に立てるはずです。
We know the area. You're not from here, are you? We can help.
道案内ができますし、誰かに話を聞くにしても地元民が一緒にいた方がいいんじゃないですか。警戒されなくて済みます。
Show you around. It'll be easier to get people to talk if you've got a local guide, right? My tone grows more heated with every word. Tadayasu and Kanatsu remain silent, indicating approval. And yet, Officer Minato matches my pleading stare with the same stoic expression as before.
だからお願いです。
お気持ちには心より感謝いたします。
I'm truly grateful for the offer, however.
ですが、
I cannot
お
accept
受け
it.
できません。お話ししました通り、この件は銀星号事件との関連を疑われています。危険性は言うまでもありません。
As I
市
said
民の方を
before,
巻き込めることではないの
this
です。
incident is likely tied to the Ginseigo massacres. I don't need to remind you of the danger. I mustn't involve civilians.
危険は港さんだって同じでしょ。
You're in just as much danger.
自分にとって事件の解決は責務です。あなた方にとってはそうではありません。
Ginseigo is my responsibility, not yours.
リツは仲間です。仲間を助けるのは責務ですよ。
And Ritsu is our friend. Helping her is our responsibility.
いいえ。あな
He
た
says
方は
that,
ま
but
だ
then that's a
自
good
分自
response.
身以外の何かに対して責任を負える年齢ではありません。
Not you three are not yet old enough to shoulder responsibility for anyone other than yourselves. Think realistically every 2 seconds, slapping them with a cold dose of reality.
あなた方に課された責任は事故の安全に配慮し、ご家族を心配させないことです。
He's so straight-laced, he's got to
友人を
answer
案ずる
the,
気持
in
ちは
the
理解します。
standard "you're too
しかし
young" dialogue.
同じようにあなた方を案ずる人もいるのです。
At least he's making sense, right? And he's not lying to anyone. He says your only responsibility is to look after your own safety and avoid causing your family's undue worry. I understand your concern for your friend. However, there are those who feel the same about you.
その方々の心境について
Please take
ご
that
考
into
慮ください。
consideration. Any kid has heard this lecture a million times. Still, we have no retort. If it were any other adult talking, we'd put up a show of defiance, no matter how childish, but something about this man's attitude just acts to quash such notions. I was preaching again, it seems.
年長風を吹かせてしまいました。
Back to his full body sprite. He rises to his feet in a single liquid motion. Up close, his height is even more distinct. He towers over us, but somehow doesn't seem imposing. Is it because his gaze is so tranquil?
ご協力に感謝いたします。聞かせていただいたお話は大変有意義でした。
Thank you for your cooperation. The information you provided has been most valuable.
はあ、まあお役に立てたのなら幸いです。
I'm glad we could be of service.
ですが、
However, the officer continues his quiet gaze, unshaken by Tadayasu's sarcasm.
自分に近づくことは危険です。どうか今後は関与を避けてください。
It is dangerous to associate with me. Please avoid further contact. And he's gone. A nice background.
で、どうするの?
Natsu asks as we walk together down the dark road home. I mean, I'm sure everyone who reads this novel is probably thinking the same thing. Please just check the stupid grove. I'm sure we're all feeling it. We're all thinking it.
決まってんだろ。
You have to ask.
港さんの言っていることは正しい。だがあいにくと、俺たちは正しいことを受け入れられないガキンチョだ。
Everything he said was right. Too bad we're too immature to care.
バカなものはバカなんだから仕方ない。
A dumb kid's gotta do what a dumb kid's gotta do.
うわ、開き直った。タチはある。
Is that something, really something to be proud of?
律探しは続けるぞ。できれば港さんを探し出して強引にでも協力したい。
We'll keep looking for Ritsu if
俺らが
possible.
むやみに動き回るよりはその方が効率的だ。
We'll force Officer Minato to accept our help. That would be better than going off on our own.
小判ザメみたいな活動方針ね。
We're a suckerfish and he's a shark?
それじゃ役に立ってないだろうが。アリとアブラムシ的な共生関係を目指すぞ。
Let's say he's an ant and we're aphids.
それってどっちも害虫なんだけど。
明日からは根気と体力の勝負になるな。よく休んどけよ。
Tomorrow's gonna test our endurance to the max. Make sure you get a good night's sleep, alright? They spent an entire day, and the only thing he did was talk to him and give off. Damn. It's hard to tell how committed these people are. Like, surely, one of these days, surely your highest priority should be figuring out if there actually was a Tsurugi inside the grove. Wouldn't that be like the biggest clue? Like a blind sighting? The thing's a suit of power armor. It probably weighs 500 pounds. There's no way it wanders through a... It's unlikely it wanders through a forest without making a complete mess. I mean, if you know what... Like, surely you'll see like a footprint or something, depending on how wet the ground is. Oh man, that's so annoying. Oh, well.
はいはい。どの道投げ出せるようなことじゃないしね。
How much would a suit of power armor weigh anyway? I guess like 500 pounds. The person inside's probably like 100 something, 150. Add like another... It's full play, which is like what? 30? 40? I don't know. Plus computational power, plus like some really thick armor that can casually just stop just about every firearm in existence. Gotta be some good armor. Anyway, we keep walking. Home's just around the corner. On to the next day. Always weird in like these high school settings when like kids just never feel like they're taking things seriously when they go to school. It's like, oh no, my best friend was murdered. It's like, oh, my best friend, I think he was murdered. We should investigate this ourselves. And you're like, all right. So naturally we'll go to school. Are you investigating at school? No, we're going to school because it would be bad not to attend school. And you're just like, your friend is murdered and you think you're going to be killed next. And their first thought is, I'm going to go to school. I'd rather spend the last day of my life going to school and fucking around instead of trying to prevent myself from dying. It's always weird when people with the anime stories, everyone's so obsessed with going to school regardless of the situation. Like, surely your first thought would be, okay, if I'm going to investigate it, I should investigate before I die. Oh well. Sometimes they come up with a good excuse for them to still go to school, but this series does not seem to have come up with an excuse for them to go to school. If it's that important to them, just skip. And if your parents yell, you're like, hey, my friend's missing, I'm gonna go find them. Get fucked. A set of multifaceted eyes watches the two from a distance. The eyes belong to a spider. It hangs upside down from the roof of a house, its emotionless gaze fixed on the children's backs. It is indeed a spider, but no spider of this world. It measures at least 2 meters in length, with 8 segmented legs that could hold a fully grown man in their grasp. Its abdomen alone is larger than a barrel of wine. Its enormity is the stuff of nightmares, and its hue renders it only more monstrous. The spider is crimson, the color of fresh blood. Though shrouded in darkness, it resembles more the tint of rotting flesh. Its skin gives off a cold, dull shine like that of steel. Oh, it is steel. A giant spider forged from crimson steel. A fiend plucked from the pages of a children's picture book. As the two students fade into the distance, the spider's compound eyes blink once. Then it stirs from its perch. Does it intend to follow the two, or does it have some other unfathomable purpose? One can hardly imagine such a creature sating its appetite on flies. Whatever its intentions, the spider is interrupted before it can carry them out. There is no sound, only a presence, the sense of something shooting across the rooftops. The spider freezes and some of its many eyes swivel in their sockets. Something appeared across the way, standing tall on the roof of the house. It's shaped like a man, but that is the one thing it cannot be. for it too has the shine of steel. It is a suit of armor, its hue a dark, burnished yellow. But a mere suit of armor cannot appear like a gust of wind. The soaring leap and flawless landing it performed are proof it is something other. A tsurugi. A musha. The brass-colored musha's lightless eyes glance at the departing children, then shift their focus to the metal spider. There's no hint of warmth in their gaze. The same can be said of the spider as it returns the musha's stare, though in the spider's case it is doubtful whether it could show warmth if it tried. The two hold each other's gaze for a few seconds more, and then the musha bursts from the roof with the speed of a sudden gale. The blade in its hand lashes out, a bolt of lightning from which nothing can escape. But the spider's speed is no less. Its crimson bulk darts into the air, leaving only a sharp gust of wind to fall prey to its enemy's sword. Undamaged, it alights atop a tree. The sight is comical, a giant spider sitting on green leaves, as though they were a comfortable pillow. Comical, yes, and all the more terrifying for it. Not one branch is cracked under the metal creature's weight. Well, there's your answer. But the musha, too, is unbound by nature's laws. Undaunted by its failure, it lands effortlessly on the side of the building, seemingly in defiance of gravity, and then without a moment's hesitation, leaps to the attack once more. The spider flees this time, however. That is not all it does. Glittering silver threads fan across the sky, woven of steel and loosed from the spider's jaws. In the blink of an eye, the threads form a net that blots out the sun. The musha plunges straight into their midst, unable to react fast enough to avoid them. The steel threads wind around its body, binding the musha tight. The scene is like something from a fairy tale, a cocoon suspended between two houses. What will emerge, a man might wonder and tremble at the thought. The answer is nothing. Nothing will emerge. This is not a chrysalis spun to create life, but a cage erected to contain it. The steel threads are a mighty prison. What span of time will pass before the condemned sins are forgiven, and he is released to roam the world once more? A decade, perhaps? A century? A millennium? 3, 2, 1. Less than a heartbeat, it would seem. A flash, and the musha's blade emerges from within the cocoon. 2 strokes, and the steel threads are reduced to confetti. And thus, the inescapable prison is shattered mere moments after it was built. The law represented here is as simple as it is inviolable. Bars cannot hold one whose strength surpasses them. The spider's strength is no match for the musha's. Even its mighty threads are but trifles before the enemy's sword, only to be expected. It is Musha who rule the battlefield. Musha, before whom all others must grovel. And what can defeat a musha? Only a stronger musha. The spider doubtless knows the law well, and when the freed musha scans the area, it sees no sight of its quarry. The spider must have used the brief instant of captivity to escape into the darkness, and nothing remains to mark its trail. The musha turns its head, but the 2 students are also gone from sight. What thoughts pass through the musha's mind? Is this our friend that we just met? I mean, that might be the assumption, right? Perhaps it thinks nothing at all, but at least for a moment, musha appears pensive, and then it too vanishes into the night.
Hi. その池谷和夫君が行方不明になった時のことについてお尋ねしたいのですが。
Yes, I'd like to ask a few questions regarding the disappearance of Iketani Kazuo.
はあ、そう言われてもの。ありゃ、いつのことだったかの。
You're welcome to ask, Sonny, but when was that again?
約半年前。交流41年4月19日土曜日です。
Approximately 6 months ago, Saturday, April 19th, the 41st year of Koryu.
ああ。そう言われてもの。
Sorry?
ピンとこねえの。
Doesn't ring a bell.
安田のじいちゃん、春のやぶさめの前日だよ。
Master Yasuda, it was the day before the archery expedition.
おお、そうかそうか。やぶさめの前の日だったの。カズボウがいなくなっちまったのは。
Young Kazuo disappeared the day before the exhibition.
なんだ。あんたも最初からそう言えよ。
Why didn't you just say so?
失礼いたしました。
My apologies. We have no trouble finding Officer Minato the next day. All we had to do was follow the unique aura of misfortune emanating from his every pore, and it only took an hour. Oh, it's something else, alright. I don't mean our tracking skills.
自分に近づくのは危険だと簡潔にご説明したはずです。
I believe I explained clearly.
あるいは誤解を招く箇所があったとは思えないのですが。
I don't see how any part of my explanation could have been misconstrued.
たまたまです。
I was just passing by.
散歩中です。
I was out for a walk.
自分探しの旅の途中です。
I'm on a journey to find myself.
いや、そういえばこんなところで偶然ですね、港さん。
But what a coincidence running into you here. Officer Minato holds a hand to his forehead for a few seconds and resumes walking. We follow at a short distance. We all happen to be headed in the same direction, a purely coincidence, of course. The officer moves from place to place, asking about the people who've disappeared from the neighborhood. It looks like he's really doing what he said he would.
ごめんください。
Excuse me. Who the devil are you?
駄菓子屋さん、大丈夫だから、ちょっと話を聞いてあげて。
He's with us, Mr. Candyman. Please listen to what he's got to say.
おお、こなっちゃんじゃないか。なんだ、あの子の知り合いかいあんた。
Oh, Kona. You're a friend of Kona's?
ええ。
Yes. He's like, oh god, I've resigned myself to my
卒
fate.
字ながら。
Pardon the intrusion.
かなり致命的に怪しい男。貴様、さてはこの鬼柔道、材木座の大蔵に放たれた刺客か。
Damn, these shopkeepers are all characters, aren't they? My god, it's the most suspicious man I've ever met. You must be an assassin sent to slay me, Lumberjack Taizo, master of demon judo.
違います、大村先生。その人はただの怪しい人です。
Don't worry, Mr. Omura. He only looks suspicious.
なんじゃ、ただの怪しい男か。それで、わしに何か用かの。
はい。少々お伺いしたいことが。
Yes, if I might have a few moments of your time.
もし、そこの方。
Pardon me, young lady.
怖い人に声かけられた。
How a scary man's talking to me. It just gets worse for him.
ああ、怖くないぞ。ほれ、芋飴あげるから、ちょっとこの人のお話聞いてあげような。
He's not as scary as he looks. Here, have a potato candy and answer the man's questions, okay? Potato candy.
ありがとう、夕日兄ちゃん。それで何、おじさん。
Thanks, Yuhi. You're the best. What's up, mister? After the umpteenth house, Officer Minato stops in the middle of the street. So do we. He stands motionless for a few moments, perhaps considering his options, then turns around and walks up to me.
お話があります。
I have something I'd like to say.
実は俺もあります。
So do I, actually.
では、お先にどうぞ。
After you.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you. I bow, pause to inhale, and then
港
say,
さん、警官に向いてないっすね。
You're not really cut out for detective work, are you? Oof. It's true, but he doesn't have any way to handle people. He looks really depressed. I guess he didn't need me to tell him that.
そのご指摘には、返す言葉を持ちません。自分の被災を痛感するばかりです。
Unable to refute your observation. I can only lament my lack of talent.
いやー、才能の問題ではないような。
Talent? That's not the problem here. I couldn't agree more. We expected he might hit a few roadblocks in his investigation, seeing as he's not from around here. But it looks like there's an even bigger
こう
problem.
言うとうぬぼれてるみたいで嫌だけど、私たちがいなかったらほとんどの人に話聞けてないよな。
It feels like bragging, but if it weren't for us, I don't think you could have questioned anyone.
いえ、全くもってその通りでしょう。
Of
それを
that I have
踏
no
まえ
doubt.
てお伺いします。
In light of which, I'd like to ask a question. Please. Officer Minato faces us square on, as though we were in a formal interview rather than the middle of a busy
新
street.
田優飛さん、来栖小夏さん、稲木忠康さん。
Urusuma Sono Kanatsu. Inagi Tadayasu. He remembers our names perfectly, even though he only heard them once, and right after being conked on the
あ
head.
なた方は風間律さんの捜索を中止するつもりはないのですね。
Am I to understand you have no intention of ceasing your search for Kazuma Ritsu?
ありません。
Yup, that's right. My answer is immediate. There's no point backing down. I can hardly expect to persuade him just like that, though. I rack my brain for the right words.
港さんが正しいのはわかります。でもそれでも俺は、リツを探すことが間違ってるとは思えなくて、それは俺たちがすべきことなんじゃないかって。
I know what you said was right, but still, I don't believe looking for Ritsu is wrong. I feel like it's something we have to do.
すいません。
Sorry,
うまく言葉になんない
doing
で
a
す
good job.
でも俺は
wanna help
リツを探すために何かしたいし、そうするべきだとも思うんです。
Oh, you're very committed, at least to your part-time job of finding Ritsu. A fun adventure, right? Damn, why can't I come up with anything better to say?
僕も同意見です。今のが意見としての体裁を整えていたかどうかは議論の対象になるでしょうが、それはともかく。
I agree with him. And never mind whether his explanation actually qualifies as such.
生徒教養の存在を根本から疑いたくなる説明でしたけど、フィーリングとかそういうところでは同意できます。
I know you're questioning the concept of intelligent life right now, but I think we all feel the same way.
お前ら。
I hate you guys. Officer Minato listens dutifully and then mulls it over for a moment before nodding to himself.
傀儡を操るは安く、詩人をとどめるは堅し。全く是非もない。
The weak heart may be saddled readily, but the stout heart is impossible to tame. Truer words.
了解しました。
Never
自分と同道されるのであれば、今後は近接を求めます。
Very well. If you intend
最
to
善ま
continue
での距
following
離
me.
では、保安の点でも協力の点でも適切と言えません。
I ask that you stay within reach. At your present distance, I cannot ensure your safety, nor can you aid my investigation with maximum efficiency. His speech patterns are a little hard for me to parse, but I think what he's saying is okay.
よっしゃ
はしゃがないはしゃがない恥ずかしいから。
Calm down, you're embarrassing yourself.
まあいいじゃないか、コナッツ。
Let him celebrate, Konatsu. Believe me, I'm plenty embarrassed. I just can't help it. I'm ecstatic I get to help this bumbling but trustworthy detective look for Ritsu. I know nothing's changed, but at the same time, I feel like we're one step closer to finding her. Tadayasu and Konatsu probably feel the same way. Their tone is teasing, but their smile is genuine. Seeing this, I raise one more celebratory shout. They exchange an exasperated glance and then join me. Officer Minato, however, doesn't crack a smile. First thing we do is head for the bamboo grove. It's the kind of place only locals know. There's nothing really special about it, so Officer Minato would have had a hard time finding it without us. The instant we set foot inside the grove, old Tanaka comes racing out to drive us off. I swear he must have a radar or something in that shack of his. But even the lightning emperor knows when to fall back. Once Officer Minato flashes his sunburst, he reluctantly allows us onto his property.
伯爵とした方です。感服しました。
What an impressive gentleman. I've never met anyone his age so full of vigor. The man is a true terror, I swear.
あれでも最近は多少おとなしくなってるんですよ。でも雷鳴の威力は相変わらずだな。まだ耳がビリビリする。
If you can believe it. But that thunderclap of his hasn't changed a bit. My ears are still ringing.
私あれ久しぶりだったから腰まで響いたよ。
I'm still shaking. It's been a while since I took one head on.
素晴らしい肺活量でした。あのご老人はきっと長寿を保たれることでしょう。
His lungs must be extraordinary. I have no doubt he'll live many years yet.
周りの人間の寿命がその分削られると思うとどうも祝福できないんですけどね。
While shouting the rest of us into an early grave, I'd wager.
いささか郷愁を覚えます。自分の母も感情が激するとあのような怒声を発する人でした。
Takes me back.
酒が切れたと言っては
That's not good. My mother used to shout much the same way when her emotions ran high. For example, when she was hungry or out of liquor. Oof.
それを耳にするたび、自分は安らかな心地になり、
Each time I would find
しば
myself
しば
lulled into a
そのまま
peaceful
眠ってしま
slumber.
ったものです。
だいぶ個性的な団らん風景のような。
Yeah, I'm with you. That's quite the family you've got there,
い
buddy.
つぞや、自分が瀕死の重傷を負った折、その恋に命を救われたことがあるのです。
Once when I was very young, a gang of bandits broke into our home.
家に侵入した武装盗賊
I
と
was
遭遇し、
gravely wounded But my mother saved my life with her voice, with that voice of hers.
なるほど。その時お母さんが土星一発で泥棒を追い散らして救ってくれたんですね。
Your mother chased off the thieves with her mighty battle cry?
それはすごいな。
That's amazing.
はい。あの時、自分はいつの間にか鼓膜が破れて三半規管を損傷し、割れたガラスが背中に刺さり、出血多量で失神していたようですが、その程度で済んだのも母のおかげでしょう。
What? I suffered severe damage to the eardrums such that I couldn't hear for several days and experienced hemorrhagic shock as a result of shattered glass puncturing my back, but it was thanks to my mother I escaped with as little injury as I did. What? What a scream! Holy shit! She screamed so loudly she shattered glass behind him, actually causing him to bleed. What?
いい話ですね。
That's a nice story.
ありがとうございます。
I appreciate you saying.
それってつまり瀕死の重傷を負わせたのはお母さんなのでは？
Doesn't that mean your mom was the one who injured you? The wind carries the burbling of the nearby river to our ears. We walk on, scanning the area through the thick bamboo stalks. Old Tanaka must be too busy fighting off intruders to tend to the grove. It's almost impossible to see past their leafy fronds. Looks like this is going to take some legwork. But just as I resign myself, Tadayasu lifts his arm and points.
あれ?
Over there.
どうした? 奥の方、なんか荒れてない?
Back there, don't the stalks look disturbed?
確かに。
They do. Officer Minato follows Tadayasu's finger and nods his agreement. With my merely average eyesight, it's difficult to make out what captured their attention. As we get closer, I see what Tadayasu meant. A whole clump of bamboo stalks have been cut down, forming a clearing. About the size and shape of a sumo ring, the severed stalks lie scattered outside the circle.
この間じいさんが言ってたのはこれか。
It's gotta be what old Tanaka was talking about.
竹林が荒らされたってやつ?
You know about someone messing with his bamboo?
そういえばそんなこと聞いたね。
He did say something like that. He's crazy to think we had anything to do with this. Even my untrained eye can tell these cuts are way too smooth to have been made with regular tools.
ナタかな?
Nada, maybe?
斧かもね。どっかの不良が憂さ晴らしでもしたかな?
Or an axe. You think some punks were working off steam?
いるの? そんな暇人.
I don't think anyone would be that bored.
いるよ。暇を舐めてはいけないね、小夏。貧困と憤懣と同じように、暇と退屈も犯罪の温床たる資格は十分なんだって昔の人が。
Don't underestimate boredom. A wise man once said that boredom is no less a cause of crime than poverty. So are they going to look at like the pattern of bamboo that's cut to determine that this thing is way too tall? Or like they were all cut in like a single blow or something?
違う。
No. Officer Minato has been crouched by a cut stalk, examining it this whole time, and now he speaks, though his eyes are fixed on the damage.
刃の入り方が鋭すぎる。切り口が平坦すぎる。獲物は間違いなく刀。それも技物の部類。
The plane much too level. This could only have been done with a katana and one of exceptional quality.
地面に切り込みの跡か。つまり。打ち手は力任せに切っている。
The blade cut into the ground, which means the wielder swung using brute force without employing proper technique.
それがどうしてこんな鮮やかな切り口を作る。
But in that case, how could he have made such a clean cut?
刀の利だけでは足りない。打ち手は凡俗にして非凡。
Yeah, we're reaching a conclusion pretty quickly. Even the sharpest sword would not be enough. The wielder was an amateur, yet possessed inhuman strength and speed. Amusha did this. His tone is absolutely certain.
じゃあ、
おっちゃんが言ってた通り、あの夜、ここに六原の武者がいた。
There was a Rokuhara Musha there that night, just like the man said.
ってことになるのかな?
Looks that way. Amusha was here the night Ritsu disappeared, so this is where Ritsu was attacked? I spin around and scan the area. There's gotta be something, some sign of her.
足跡とか。
Footprints maybe? It's been 3 days, but it's fine.
ダメだね。一昨日の明け方に降った雨で消されたかな。
No luck! The rain washed him away. Oh, that's too bad. If only we'd fucking used our brains. Damn.
他にもなんかあるでしょ？持ち物とか。
Maybe she dropped her bag?
見当たらないけど。
See anything?
六原の武者ならば、技量未熟というのは解せない。ざれていたか。
Orokuhara Musha would not make such an unpracticed strike. Could he have been toying with his prey? Officer Minato hasn't moved. He's talking to himself now, paying us no mind. Looks like he never expected there to be any physical evidence lying around.
だがそれにしても、どこから現れた？寄港すれば襲撃も離脱も一瞬で済む。しかし目立つ。
Flying allows for rapid attack and withdrawal, but would also draw attention.
この近隣で爆音、轟音の確認情報。
Have there been any loud noises in the vicinity?
え
？Takes a second to realize he's speaking to us.
すごい音ですか？
Loud noises?
いや、そういう話は。
Not as far as I know.
聞かなかったですね。もしそんなことがあったら、田中のじいさんが大騒ぎしてると思うんですけど。
No one mentioned anything like that. I'm sure Tanaka would have raised hell if there had been.
他人が立てる騒音にはやかましいもんね。あの雷霆。
Yeah, the Lightning Emperor hates anyone who makes noise. They say people around here are reluctant to have babies for fear of arousing his ire. I don't know if it's true, but I heard parents going to live with their relatives until their newborn calms down. Oof. Officer Minato doesn't respond, but it looks like he's listening.
がったりをふかしていない。やはり飛んではいないか。
So no sounds of Gitari. As I thought, he did not fly. Gitari? The word is unfamiliar, but Tadayasu stops me with a gesture before I can ask what it means. I guess I shouldn't interrupt his train of thought.
では当該武者は
And how did the Musha
い
come
か
and
に
go?
現れ、出現時、最初から走行してやってくるはずはなし。鎧びを背負って侵入しても目立つ。
Couldn't have arrived in full armor. Even if he carried it cased, he would have drawn
音
attention.
量に優れる剣を単独で先行させ、己は別個に侵入。内部で合流して走行。
Assume as Tsurugi has exceptional stealth capabilities, he sent it into the grove, rendezvoused with it later, donned his
犯行
armor,
に及び、
committed the crime.
そこか
And
ら
then
どうする？剣は来た時と同様に単独で離脱させればよい。
And then what?
だが現場に遺体はおろか、血痕すらないところから見るに、
His Tsurugi could have
被害
left
者が
alone
拉致
as
さ
it
れた
had
ことは
come.
確実。
However, the lack of any blood at the scene can only mean that he carried his victim out uninjured.
被害者を連れて、武者はいかにこの場を離脱する？
How did the Musha leave while carrying its victim yet remain unseen? Well, as we can see, Musha don't affect the environment unless they actively try to. After 2, maybe 3 minutes of silence, Officer Minato stands and turns to us.
まだ情報が不足している模様です。近隣で情報収集を行いたく思います。
It seems so lucky
特に、武者を目撃したという人物。その方に会って、詳しい話を伺いたい。
I'd like to question the residents of this area, especially the man who saw the Musha firsthand. He may know something more. So, are we assuming that the spider got her?
はい。それじゃあ飲み屋通りに行かないと。
Shoot the bars next.
案内をお願いします。
Please lead the way. As requested, Konatsu takes the lead. Tadayasu, Officer Minato, and I follow behind. To be honest, I don't really understand what just happened here.
夕日。
Yuhi. Tadayasu whispers.
いやー、あの港さん、思ってたよりもすごいのかもしれないね。
This guy's a better detective than we thought. Yeah, he's come to the right conclusion pretty quickly.
そうなのか。
武者と剣に関する知識が深いよ。僕に理解できたのは、武者が空から飛んでやってきたのなら、その爆音で周囲の住民に気づかれないはずがないってあたりまでだけど。
He obviously knows a lot about Musha and Tsurugi. At first, he was talking about how there's no way a Musha could fly into the grove without the whole neighborhood hearing its engines. That's as far as I could follow.
そうか。
Oh, that's what he meant. Now I remember. Gatari are the back-mounted engines Musha used to fly, and they always produce a lot of smoke and noise.
じゃあ、武者はどうやっ
But
て？
how'd it get here?
その点についてもある程度の推測は立ったけど、まだ疑問が
He has
残
an
る
idea.
ってこ
He's
と
not
みたい。
sure. That's
そ
probably
こ
what
を
he
調
wants
べ
to
たいん
check
じゃ
out.
ないかな。
聞いてみちゃまずいかな、その辺。
Think it'd be okay to ask?
やめとこ。今も考え中みたいだし、邪魔になるよ。
Let's not.
ただ
You don't want
言
to
えるの
interrupt
は
him while he's thinking.
この人はどうやら本当に真相を暴く力
This
があり
means he
そう
might
だって
really be
こ
able
と
to。get to the truth.
そうか。
Right. Tadayasu is good at just about everything, so he can be a pretty strict judge of people. His approval, it carries a lot of weight. Looks like we were right to follow the officer even after he tried to shake us. If we'd gone off and done our own investigation, we'd probably be just more frustrated than before. If Amusha took Ritsu, that means we were going to have to face the Rokuhara sooner or later, and yet I get the feeling with this guy on our side, rescuing her might not be so impossible at all. This is an interesting turn for the story. I wasn't expecting it to go this way.
いや、今日はまだ見てないね。もうすぐ来ると思うけど。
And in a long-term investigation arc, I was kind of thinking we'd have a faster igniting incident leading us somewhere on an adventure. The pitch is interesting, but I'm kind of surprised. Like, I'm enjoying this. Don't get me wrong. I'm thoroughly enjoying this so far, but the arc is kind of taking a different twist than I was thinking. I was thinking we have like a short igniting incident that causes our character to do something, and then we have like a time skip or something, and this seems to be going on a little bit longer than I thought it would. Interesting. So I wonder if the rest of this is the investigation and saving of her, maybe? I mean, the game did say something about choices, and we haven't had a choice yet. So who knows? Maybe this is like a mainline route, and once we finish it, there'll be like alternate routes if we replay the story, where we make actual choices that affect the story, similar to Chaos Child, where you have to do the main route before you unlock any options that lead to like the more interesting or exciting stories, rather than just like the base story, which is solid, but not like too over the top. That's what it feels like we're going through, which is still enjoyable. I do like this main line. We're getting to know the characters fairly well. And the investigation is at least appealing. I'm interested in piecing together what's going on. Like, we have this spider mech, we have this other mech. There's something going on. They're giving us some extra scenes. And the investigation part, we're finally finding evidence that there's a Tsurugi around. So things are slowly picking up, and we're piecing things together to reach what could be an exciting conclusion. Or at least something that brings us closer to the knowledge of what happened to Ritsu. But it is getting late, so I think we're going to have to ramp things up.